All right, good morning, everyone. We'll call our Moore County Board of Education work session to order on May 5th, 2025. At our central office, it's 9 a.m., a little bit after 9. Thank you for your patience. So we'll call to order, and you'll see that we have a few members absent today. Mr. Johnson is away. Mr. Hensley is away. They are listening by phone. And so we welcome everyone today. Our first item is approval of agenda. And do I have approval of agenda? All right, Ms. Bruno?
Okay, I would like to amend the agenda. I would like to add a report on the water testing from each school.
Okay, so we will do our very best, and I would recommend that we add that to item 4 under reports, information, and discussion. So we'll make a request that Ms. Purvis gives a brief update on the water, the best she can, the water situation at the schools. Okay, water report. All right, do I have approval of agenda? Oh, do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Davis. Second. Okay. All right, motion made by Ms. Bruno, second by Mr. Benway. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so do we have approval of the agenda as amended? Thank you, Ms. Davis. You're helping. All right.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Ms. Davis, second by Dr. Dahl. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, agenda amended passes. All right, now we're ready for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Mr. Benway, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Davis, would you lead us in a moment of silence?
Yes, and I do want to acknowledge real quick, we can't miss that we have our Navy JROTC with us, and this month we will be celebrating Memorial Day. So if we'll just keep that in mind during our moment of silence, please. Of course. Microphone.
Just a couple of thoughts for our former chair, Bob Levy, who just underwent kidney transplant late last week, and he's having a roughish time right now, so put him in your thoughts, please.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you saying that, Ken. I had no idea. Thank you for sharing that. All right, if we'll now go into a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're at item 2, reports, information, and discussion. Dr. Locklear.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, board members, and we certainly have some very special guests with us today from Union Pines High School. Appreciate Mr. Benway recommending that we have a report from our JROTC programs at Union Pines and at Pinecrest, and so Pinecrest will be forthcoming, but as I told these young folks this morning, they represent the best of the best. We're very proud of them, very proud of our programs at our high schools, and so we look forward to getting a report and a briefing on the work that they're doing. But I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McCormick. Good morning, Andy, so he can introduce the team. Andy?
Good morning, Dr. Locklear, Chair Calcutt, board members. It's my honor this morning to present to you Lieutenant Commander Wynn and 4 of our top cadets from our Navy JROTC program, the pride of Union Pines High School. Year in and year out, we're very proud of this group. They work hard, they set the example, and they will be sharing some big news in this presentation that we just received. So I will not steal their thunder, but at this time I'll go ahead and turn it over to Commander Wynn.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Board, Superintendent, Principal, and guests. Thank you for the opportunity to present your Navy JROTC program. I am Lieutenant Commander Timothy Wynn. I'm the Senior Naval Science Instructor at Union Pines High School. It is an honor to be here with you today and to share the incredible work the program does and the profound impact it has on our cadets and the community. Our unit was established in 2001 with a clear and vital mission: to instill in students the values of citizenship, service to the United States, personal responsibility, and a sense of accomplishment. This program is not about recruiting for the military. Rather, it is about cultivating informed, responsible, and engaged citizens who contribute meaningfully to their communities and beyond. The immediate benefits of the NJROTC program are evident in the daily lives of our cadets. Through classroom instruction, physical training, and extracurricular activities like drill, academic teams, and community service, they learn discipline, teamwork, and leadership, qualities that transcend the walls of the classroom. These experiences build confidence and foster a sense of belonging, which is particularly impactful for students who might otherwise struggle to find their place within the school setting. NJROTC also provides structure and accountability. Cadets are expected to maintain good academic standing, exhibit exemplary conduct, and uphold the values of honor, courage, and commitment. These expectations help them establish routines and habits that contribute to their overall success, both inside and outside the classroom. The long-term benefits of NJROTC are equally transformative. Our cadets graduate with a robust foundation that prepares them for whatever path they choose, whether it's higher education, military service, or entering the workforce. The leadership training they receive equips them with the initiative to make informed decisions. Many of our cadets have gone to attend prestigious institutions, including service academies like West Point, or have excelled in careers that require discipline and integrity. In addition to practical skills, NJROTC instills a lifelong appreciation for service. Cadets develop a deeper understanding of civic responsibility and often contribute and continue to contribute, giving back to their communities as adults. This ripple effect of positive influence demonstrates a far-reaching value of the program. But rather than take my word for it, I've invited 4 of my best cadets to give you, in their own words, what the program means to them.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I am Jonas Black, the current executive officer of Union Pines NJROTC. Now I'm going to be presenting the first half of this presentation. To you guys, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what NJROTC is, just as a whole across the nation, and then I'm going to talk about some of the teams and opportunities that we offer to our cadets. Like I said, I'm going to talk about what NJROTC is. Commander did a really good job of summing it up, so I'm just going to reiterate some of the points that he said. NJROTC is a class that is structured after the Navy. I'll go get into that a little bit later about how we structure our cadet staff. But the main thing that I want to focus on is that NJROTC is a cadet-run, cadet-led program. We are assisted by our instructors, but we make a lot of the large decisions about places we're going to go, drill meets we're going to attend, opportunities that we offer. It is up to us to decide where the unit goes. Another thing that I want to focus on is the point of Navy JROTC is not to encourage people to join the military, but rather promote good citizenship, to teach people the qualities that they're going to need going into the workforce and into their careers. One big thing that we did this year, and this was what Mr. McCormick was alluding to, was this year we achieved Distinguished Unit with Honors. This is the highest award that an NJROTC unit can achieve, and we were one of 6 units in Area 6 to achieve this award. We are extremely proud of this. And this is the first time in our 24 years that we've ever achieved this honor. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about besides our awards is our cadet staff. So up on the screen you can see a picture of our cadet staff. We took this at the start of the year. The main people that I'm going to focus on are, of course, our CEO, Chapin, me, and then our 2 people sitting over there, our 4th period class leader and our color guard team commander. We put this up here just to show you guys that each and every person on that list has a job that they do for the unit. So it's not just me and Chapin doing everything all day, every day. Sometimes it feels like that, but there's people out there to help us. For example, our 4th period class leader helps keep our classes organized and in line, and she organizes our color guard team events, which I will talk about on the next slide. So the first team that I want to talk about today is our color guard team. This team is one of our most forward-facing teams. We send this team all across the state to go perform color guards for various events such as sports, veterans events. Basically, if you email Commander and you want a color guard, we'll make it happen. We even go to churches as well, and we do our graduation. The next team that we're going to talk about is our drill team. This is a team that we are extremely proud of. In this team, we try to go to 2 a year, so this year we managed to make that happen. We went to the Cary High School drill meet, and we also went to the Sun Valley High School drill meet. In these events, we participate in military drill competitions, so we compete to be the best looking unit, to get the highest score, and we always take first overall at these. Well, besides the Sun Valley one, we got third place, but we're four-peat champions for the Cary High School drill meet. The next team I'm going to talk about is our academic team. This is one of the STEM teams that we offer. So in this team, we participate in various academic events. The main ones being the J-Lab, the NAE, and of course our Brain Brawls. The J-Lab and the NAE are what we call academic postals. So we get a test, take the test, and then we send it back to get a score. We usually do really well on these. This year, we made it to the second round of the J-Lab, and we were third place in the NAE. The next thing I'm going to talk about in terms of academic team is our Brain Brawls. And we pick 4 people to go to a Jeopardy-style event. Again, we do really well in these. Last year, we took first and third place at our first ever Brain Brawl, and this year we took third place at the Southeast Guilford Brain Brawl. The next team we're going to talk about is orienteering. This is a physical training style team in which we get a map, a compass, and some points to go run around and find in the woods. The main thing that I want to point out about this is timed. Your goal is to do it as quickly as possible, and the courses range from 3 to 5 miles long. And if you get lost, it's longer. The next team I'm going to talk about is one of our STEM teams. This is our Sea Perch team. It's a lot like robotics that they offer at the elementary and middle schools. In this team, we build an underwater submersible to go and perform an obstacle course as quickly as possible, and there are certain tasks they give you which give you points. We started this team up last year, and in our inaugural year, we made it all the way to the international competition at the University of Maryland. This year, we fortunately didn't make it to internationals, but we did completely rebuild our ROVs, and we're expecting to do better next year to try to make it back to internationals. The next team I'm going to talk about, this is Sergeant Major's favorite team. This is our rifle team. In this team, we do competition shooting with iron sights and air rifles. We are really proud of this team. A couple years ago, we made it to the national competition, and we've been working to get our way back there ever since. This year, we were runners-up in the Area 6 Rifle Championship, which means we were 1 spot away from making it to nationals, and we also had one member of our team shoot 4 points away from going to nationals. So next year, we're really trying to build the team back up and make our way back to nationals. The next team I'm going to talk about is our Cyber Patriot team. This, again, is one of our STEM teams. This is an IT cybersecurity style team in which you defend a server and try to find vulnerabilities in a server, something that you, much like work you would do if you were in an IT setting, to go find vulnerabilities and make sure your data isn't getting stolen. The next team I'm going to talk about is our drone team. This is a STEM style team where we fly drones through obstacle courses, again, scoring for points and trying to perform as quickly as possible. Since there's not a lot of schools in our area that have drone teams, we compete intramurally with our own drone club, and we beat them the year before last on the first year that we started it. This is the last team that I'm going to talk about before I pass it over to Cadet Chapin to talk some more about the things that our unit offers, like our parades and our leadership opportunities. But this is our PT team. Sergeant Major likes to call us PT bullies. That doesn't mean we bully people, but that just means we're really, really, really good at PT. Every single drill meet that we've went to in the past few years, we've taken first place overall, and we do really good in the running events, the PT events, like push-ups and sit-ups. And I'm going to pass it on to Chapin so you can talk about the next stuff. Just click that button.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry guys. So one of the big things that we do to kind of like be involved in our community is parades. We do 3 parades a year. We do the Union Pines Homecoming Parade, we do the Southern Pines Veterans Day Parade, and we do the Carthage Christmas Parade.
We have so much participation. Over half of our unit participates every single time, and we have a lot of fun, and we're usually the best looking unit out there. But it's just a good way to be involved in our community, and we have a lot of fun with that. Another thing we do is we do a bunch of different field trips. So we had 2 big overnight field trips this year, one to Paris Island and one to Elizabeth City. Paris Island was kind of where we went to Paris Island Marine Boot Camp, and they basically put us through a simulation of Marine Boot Camp, which was basically them just yelling at us. But it was a good insight into what cadets get good insight into what it would be like to go to Marine Boot Camp and kind of be a Marine, giving them different insights into career paths they could go into. Additionally, we went to Elizabeth City and the Coast Guard base, and again, we looked at airplanes, helicopters, different things, but mostly the purpose of these is to give cadets insight into different pathways they could go. We also go to college visits, so we've been to NC State, Fayetteville State. We went to UNC this year, and we toured their NJROTC unit. And this, again, just the purpose of these field trips is to give cadets insight into what kind of career paths they could go into, whether in the military or not in the military, because again, we don't push military, but we definitely encourage it. So that is a big thing we do, and cadets love that. They're always asking for more field trips, and we have a lot of fun. One big camaraderie boosting thing that we do in our program is the military ball. This year we did it at the Tyson Sinclair House in Carthage, and it's kind of just where cadets get together and we have a good time. It's kind of a good end of the year thing that people look forward to during the year. This year we had the honor of having our guest of honor, General Smith, come and join us in that celebration. Miss Sovey, Principal McCormick, hopefully you had a lot of fun. But it's just a good way to boost camaraderie and unit participation. It's so much fun. Another thing we do is the dining in. It's kind of a going in, going out thing that we do, and that is fully cadet run. Kind of just to pass the torch on from one staff to the next. We started this last year, and we're planning on doing it again. It's just a lot of fun and camaraderie. One big thing we do also is freshman orientation. It's a week-long event where we kind of just take the cadets that are new and we kind of introduce them to different things, drill, PT, kind of how we run as a unit. And then at the end of the week, we go to a fun thing. We went to Galaxy Fun Park this past year, and it was a lot of fun. But just introducing the cadets to our program, getting them used to it, getting them prepared for next year, and it is run by the cadet staff. So that is a good kind of practice for the cadet staff going into the year, running wise. So next thing we have is community service. This is a major part of our unit. So we do things like the Vast Lions Carthage Food Pantry. We do a food drive every Christmas, and we feed over 200 families in our local community. It is one of our biggest events, and all of our cadets participate. We also do things like putting flags on graves, as you can see in the lower picture. We do cards for veterans, and one big thing that we have is our cadets can come to us with any type of volunteer opportunity, and then we can push it out to the entire unit. And that's just more ways that our unit is involved in our community. Amin, she was the one who started our Christmas cards for veterans. We sent a bunch of cards to a Navy ship, just kind of to let them know we're thinking about them. And that was just one opportunity or one example of cadets being involved in community service. So another big thing that we focused on it especially this year. We introduced a lot of different things, is character and leadership development. This starts the second you start in our program. You focus on personal skills with the uniform, with the daily briefs, different things like that, developing time management, self-discipline, integrity, and learning how to follow before you learn how to become a leader. We do things like personal practical application tests where we focus on one grade. We did juniors to kind of figure out how it was going to work, and then we passed it on to the sophomores. And we had these practical application tests, and one of them was life skills. They were told to give a presentation, not reading off the slide. They have to give a speech with the presentation aid working on their overall presentation skills, because this is a skill that you're going to need after high school and just in life, whether you are in the military or you go to college, anything like that. We also focus on interpersonal skills, so like team building and working together, working with different types of people. So we did we do this like honestly in our assignments. Everything we do in class is honestly working with different types of people. But one thing we did is another type of practical application test is something that we started this year. Black and I was our team skills project. We took a group of sophomores, specifically people who hadn't usually worked together with conflicting personalities, and we gave them a task. They had to create a community service project. They had to give a brief to us for approval, and then they had to go out and complete this community service project. So working as a team, working on communication and delegation skills while also serving our community. And I think this was a great development for our sophomores, and they really enjoyed it as well. Another thing we focus on is leadership. You really start to develop leadership, like even as a freshman, you get put in different leadership opportunities where you're leading drill, you're talking in front of the class, different things like that. But as you get into cadet staff, you get more responsibility, and this really helps you develop as a leader personally and as a group. We're given different tasks, and it forces adaptability, critical thinking, and just overall, the impact that being in this position makes on you is immense. Like, I personally have learned so much just from being in this position, having been the prior color guard commander and now the CO. Just personal development is immense. It's such a good thing, and it's so great for anyone who joins ROTC, because we all experience that. So, next thing for leadership wise, I'm gonna let Black talk about this because he went to Leadership Academy, but.
So as Chapin was saying, this is in tandem with our leadership opportunities that we offer. This is a week-long, really intense leadership camp that we send at least 2 of our best cadets every year that we go to. I personally went my sophomore summer, and I was invited back as a cadre, which is just a cadet leader. In this week, you go through a bunch of different classes about leadership, how to be a better leader, and then they put you in practical scenarios where you get to practice your leadership. We participate in a drill card, much like we do in a drill event. They teach you how to lead orienteering. They basically just give you a very broad look at some of the things you will be exposed to in a leadership position in your unit. This also happens down in South Carolina at the Citadel. It is extremely hot. There's some days where we're not even allowed to go outside, but it's a really great experience. And Apollinar is actually going back this year to their command course because he's going to be a future leader in the unit, which we'll talk about later. The next slide is Sail Academy, which I'm going to pass off to Almond because she went as a cadet last year and she's now going back as a cadre this year.
So Sail Academy is a week-long event where cadets go and learn how to sail. And I was the only cadet that that went this past summer. But we had another person return as cadre, and I'll be returning as cadre this summer, which is, like he mentioned earlier, a cadet leader that they choose to return to teach the newer ones how to lead and or how to sail. And it was determined to be a basic leadership course. So while you're not basically there to lead, you still get the opportunity to grow as a leader and push outside of your comfort zone and lead other people.
Okay.
I don't know what's next.
Okay. Next, we're going to talk about our scholarships and enlistments. So, again, while we don't push military, we do have a lot of people that go into the military. We have people with ROTC scholarships. We have people attending military schools, enlisting, and a lot of times we have military academy appointments. So I'm just kind of going to go over a brief overview of this year's people going into the military out of the senior class. We have Lieutenant Commander Black with a 4-year ROTC scholarship at NC State. We have Cadet CPO Allbrooks, who's enlisting in the Marine Corps. Cadet Ensign Mum, who's enlisting in the Air Force. Davis is going to the Corps Cadets at Norwich, and he's going to plan to commission into the Marine Corps. Lieutenant Blackmore, who's our ops, is going to the Citadel to commission into the Marine Corps. A lot of Marine Corps. Cadet Avery Armstrong is going to the Corps Cadets of Virginia Tech, and myself personally, I've been honored with an appointment to the U.S. Military Academy, and I will be attending there in the fall. So, thank you. And now I'll give it to them when they'll talk a bit more about where the future is going, because they will be our next CO and XO.
Thank you for allowing me to be here and present my vision for the future. I have been in the NJ ROTC program for almost 4 years now. As a first-year cadet, I had no idea what I was doing, and I was very quiet, staying at the back of the class, not wanting to draw much attention to myself. But as time passed, and with the guidance of my leaders, it helped me get out of my comfort zone and develop my leadership skills. In that time, I've experienced both good and bad leadership. And now as a leader in this program, I will use the knowledge I've gained to guide and improve our unit. My main vision for this program is to prioritize the development of strong and confident leaders. Soon these cadets will find themselves in the real world, having to make critical decisions and take charge wherever they find themselves in. In our program, leadership is built around the teams, the events we host or attend, and the community service we participate in. One of the most valuable things this program offers is leadership development. Whether you plan on joining the military or not, it's a skill you'll need everywhere throughout your life. One way we build leadership in our program is by assigning cadets to class leader positions or team commander positions, where their decisions will have a direct impact on their team or their classes. As upperclassmen, it's our job to help guide them to make sure they perform the duties, show them what is expected of them, and guiding them to make sound decisions. Mistakes will happen, but I believe that mistakes are what make leaders become better. So they learn from those mistakes to grow, adapt to the challenges, and avoid similar missteps in the future. Of course, leadership doesn't matter if there's no communication at all. It's crucial that we, not only as leaders, but we must communicate with our cadets. Our unit has seen what happens whenever leaders don't communicate efficiently. It leads to confusion, conflict, and disorganization. Our current staff has worked very hard to maintain that communication, Chapin and Black, through hosting meetings with the leaders, keeping the cadets informed. Like our current staff, we as future leaders plan to maintain proper communication to avoid any conflicts by continuing to host meetings, inform the cadets of any information regarding events, and receiving feedback from the cadets to hear what they would like to see, and also, as leaders, to see what we can improve on as leaders. Our unit consists of several teams, like Black and Chapin mentioned, drill, marksmanship, and orienteering, and others. This year, our teams have performed exceptionally well due to our cadets' fierce dedication and discipline. We want these teams to continue thriving and improving so we can maintain our dominance at any events we participate in. As our XO mentioned, our unit was able, well, we didn't mention this, but our orienteering team was able to host its very first orienteering meet this year. So we plan on continuing hosting that, while also planning to host new meets for our drill team and academic team. By reaching out to other schools and effectively planning these events out, we should have no trouble hosting them. One of the most essential parts of our unit is the community service we participate in. These service opportunities not only allow us to give back, but also strengthen the bond between our unit and the community we serve. The impact it has on our community is real. It gives the cadets a sense of responsibility, leadership, and teamwork. This upcoming year, we will continue to do all the community service events we already do, while also reaching out to other members and groups of our community to get our unit more involved in. To sum up all the points I've discussed today, ensuring and maintaining the future of our unit is important, but it's not an easy task. We as leaders must collaborate and encourage our cadets to continue to make our unit stronger, whether through team events, community service, or leadership skills. As this year concludes and the next year's on the rise, it is up to us to lead by example and to achieve our goals and prepare the next generation of leaders. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and that be it.
My name is Cadet Alman, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I would also like to share my vision for the future of our ROTC program. Our mission is most important, to build a united, disciplined, and driven unit that embodies the Navy's core values of honor, courage, and commitment. We aim to set the standard in drill, lead with integrity, and represent our school and community with pride. To bring this vision to life, I plan to focus on 6 core areas that can develop our cadets into leaders. First, discipline and accountability. This starts with order and standards. We'll strive to improve our punctuality and ensure all of our cadets, especially our staff, lead by example. Staff will be held to account to deliver, but we won't just expect them to deliver, we'll give them plenty of training. Staff will be trained to completely understand their role and have the resources they need to execute. In order for them to be the best leaders they can be, we'll hold monthly meetings where responsibility and self-accountability will be the focus. We'll also implement a peer feedback system where cadets and staff can evaluate each other's performances, and we will then use the information to determine what we can improve upon. Second, drill excellence. Drill is more than movement. It's focus, teamwork, and pride. We'll begin early in the year with drill card training, creating a weekly schedule for what we want to accomplish each day during drill. We'll also create a peer mentorship between experienced cadets and new cadets to set a goal to compete and place in at least one sanctioned drill meet for both our NS1 drill cards and our varsity drill cards. Precision, pride, and consistency will be our focus in drill. Third, leadership development. In our unit, every cadet has the potential to lead. We'll create daily opportunities for growth by rotating chances to lead, whether that's leading drill or leading a community service project. In addition to cadet-led training, we'll hold leadership workshops that teach important skills like decision-making, conflict resolution, and communication. By focusing on both rank-based and initiative-based leadership, we'll emphasize that leadership is about the ability to inspire and take action, not just holding a position of authority. Fourth, community and service. We serve not to be noticed or praised, but because it's the right thing to do. Service will be key to our identity. Each quarter, we'll schedule at least one major community service project, whether it's a large food drive, a cleanup effort, or organizing a local event. Beyond that, we'll organize smaller, more frequent community service opportunities that are easier for cadets to commit to, such as volunteering at local shelters or organizing charity drives. Service will remain a vital component of our promotion requirements, keeping us aware of our duty as active, engaged citizens. Fifth, unit bonding and recruitment. A unit is strongest when together. We'll continue to build our coalition with activities like our unit Thanksgiving, dining in, and field trips that bring us together outside the classroom. These experiences create trust and camaraderie that generates more teamwork. In the meantime, we'll concentrate on recruitment throughout the course of the year. Whether through word of mouth, middle school field days, school events, peer engagement, drill performances, or even tutoring, we'll work to bring more students into NJROTC and show them what it's like to be a part of something bigger than themselves. We'll also utilize social media to highlight our achievements and share our events throughout the course of the year. Last but not least, none of this would be achievable without effective communication. We'll maintain a shared calendar and utilize collaborative tools where cadets and staff can access all necessary information, including schedules, important announcements, and training materials. Staff meetings will occur monthly and will hold regular check-ins with cadets to discuss their progress and address any concerns. This isn't just about making a better NJROTC program, it's about making better people and leaders who are responsible, capable, and compassionate. I believe in this program, and more importantly, I believe in what we can accomplish together.
All right, thank you for your time and support of this NJROTC program. It is a privilege to be a part of a school district that makes such a meaningful difference in the lives of our students and our community. And barring any questions for anyone here, that concludes our brief.
I'd like to make a couple of comments and a question, if I might. First of all, thank you for the tremendous effort that I know went into this command briefing. This is not an easy task, and you did great, really did. I'd like to thank the principal for all the support that you give these folks. It's important. It's important to understand that our ROTC programs are purpose-built to build the type of character you just saw. This sort of environment promotes everything else that Moore County Schools is all about. As we look into the future and as we think about how we might elevate the culture in the campus and in classrooms, I suggest we take a look at some of the techniques and processes these young folks go through and perhaps template them across our whole system. How many folks in your program total, roughly?
So because we're on a 2-semester, we're about 115, but 86 in the program right now in the second semester.
Okay, great. What are your plans? This is an open-ended question. What are your plans for growth in the future, if any?
Well, for growth to continue in the NJROTC program to keep up with the school, we would need more space, but other than that, is just to continue to recruit from the middle schools and within our own schools, our own school.
As I recall, the first time I went down and visited you all 2 years ago, you had buckets on the floor with some drippings coming out of through the ceiling. Have you got all that resolved yet?
Yes, actually, in the last 2 weeks, they just put a new roof on, which I'm very excited about, and they just put a new coat of paint on the outside of the building.
Okay. I know you were searching for a place for a rifle range. Did you ever resolve that?
Not yet. So we are currently shooting, our rifle range is the Moore County Fairgrounds. The problem with the fairgrounds is anytime they have an event or they rent out the space, we have to pack all of our stuff up and move it, which is right in the center of our shooting season.
Mhm.
But a range itself would definitely be beneficial.
By the way, you mentioned the dining in. I was once, as a second lieutenant, Mr. Vice. So if anybody needs some tips on Mr. Vice, just point them at me. I attended the Air Force ROTC Awards banquet the other night. Great event, super event. And they asked me to pass on, they left at my table a bunch of essays by the students that they asked me to pass on to you all. I wonder if Cindy might reproduce these for us to pass around. And those are my concluding questions and comments. Thank you very much again for all you've done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak to you today.
Any other comments?
I
All right,
do.
Ms. Bruno?
Yes, I think, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming here. You are our future leaders, and I am so proud of you and the work that you have done with these students. It's absolutely amazing. Two words I kept hearing over and over and over again: discipline and leadership. I mean, I don't know how many times you said those two words, and those are the two absolute characteristics that make you who you are. And I can't tell you how proud I am. And like Mr. Benway said, I wish I could take this program and spread it all across our schools, because you are our future leaders and what you are doing is amazing. I am so proud. Thank you.
I'd just like to add my thanks for coming today and presenting to us, and just to support what Mr. Benway and Ms. Bruno have said. I agree, but I would add that it's not just what you have said, but you have demonstrated your leadership. You have demonstrated your communication and presentation ability. You have really made us believe in the program. So thank you for coming and sharing, and thank you, Mr. Benway, for making this happen.
It's hard to keep following, but a couple of things that stuck out to me that I wrote down while each one of you were speaking. Number one, to promote good citizenship is the goal of what you do, and that is an admirable goal. That's what, again, as Mr. Benway is saying, that's what we need to be doing as a district. Your decisions impact others, sir. You said that, and I think it's very notable. Who we choose to associate with, it has a trickle effect. And the outreach that you potentially could have to your fellow students is tremendous. Adaptability and critical thinking. I'm all about critical thinking skills. If you have critical thinking skills, you can do anything. You can go anywhere. And to avoid similar missteps in the future, because no one here is perfect, and we all make mistakes. And as long as you can learn from your mistakes and make our world a better place. Thank you for coming. Thank you. It's encouraging to have you guys here.
Okay. Yes, it is difficult to follow all of these. Thank you, Mr. Benway, for having this amazing group of young people here that represent even more that are back at home right now at Union Pines. We're just so very proud of you. I just appreciate the hard work that you put into this presentation. I just can't imagine all the hours of work that you've done to prepare for all of your competitions and teams. And I really appreciate the variety. Learning how to sail, learning how to shoot a rifle, learning how to collaborate and communicate. I heard those words. And it just really makes me proud and happy for our future, for your future. We wish you the very best. Thank you for all your service projects that you've done in our community. That speaks volumes of who you are inside with your character. We look for great things, and I always want you to remember where you came from. Remember us when you get to that next level. Come back home when you can. And thank you for all you do to represent Union Pines High School, Moore County Schools, and our nation and our state. So thank you very much for being here. We really, truly appreciate your work, and just keep it up. Thank you for coming today. All right. So,
You want to
Dr.
take just
Lock?
a brief
Yeah, we can take
recess?
a brief minute or two. Thank you for
Yep.
coming, and we'll take a brief recess.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Call our meeting back to order. Dr. Locklear.
Thank you, Dr. Calcutt. Yes, that was an inspiring presentation. Exemplifies the great programs we have, but more importantly, it exemplifies the great kids we have and young people we have in Moore County Schools. So awfully proud of their work and all of our students and the various programs that we have across our district. Now we do have Dr. Metcalf and Dr. Stewart to give a brief update of where we are with our district strategic plan. I want to thank the board for your engagement since January in this work of revising our strategic plan for the 25-27 school years. The board did endorse in April to send the draft, I think it was the third iteration we had gotten to at that point, out to the community to get some feedback from parents and our community members, et cetera. We did get some respondents from that, and Dr. Stewart and Dr. Metcalf are going to brief us on that, and then also brief us on what the next step in the process is to get a continued board feedback, because we do plan to bring this back in June for your potential approval of the plan. So, Dr. Metcalf, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Locklear. Yes, we are definitely a step down from those students, so apologize for that, but appreciate the opportunity to come back with you with the draft strategic plan. And as Dr. Locklear noted, at the April 7th regular board meeting, you endorsed the community surveys to go out. We have done that. In addition to putting that out for community feedback, we also give the opportunity through our teacher advisory council, our support staff advisory council, our principal advisory council, and then encouraged our principals to talk it up, if you will, and work with their school improvement teams as well, parent improvement teams, to get information back. Mr. Batchelor shared it through social media, put it out multiple times in multiple ways to try to encourage the community to give us feedback. We have 25 responses. 25 responses. 16 of those were from parents. 6 were from teachers. Can I ask Dr. Stewart to briefly kind of go through the feedback for you, and then we'll talk about what our request is of you. Dr. Stewart.
Absolutely. Good morning. Ms. Parker gave you a copy so that you had it in hand so you can make some notes on it as we talk. I will briefly go through the feedback. I just want to do a walkthrough. Again, we provided this, sent a message out multiple times through social media. We did take it to Teacher Advisory Council, Student Support Staff Advisory Council, and with our principals at one of our leadership meetings. Overall, the feedback and discussions there were very positive. They liked the conciseness of the strategic plan and really liked the board priorities. So walking through briefly through the feedback, the first question was about the vision statement and its alignment and whether or not it adequately represented Moore County Schools' vision for our schools. And you can see overall that 80% said that yes, and then you've got some a few no's there. Again, we only had 25 responses, and so these graphs represent those responses. And then there are some comments after that I will invite you to take a look at those comments on your own. I'm not going to read through any of those, but I just wanted to go through the graphs. When we move on to the vision or the mission statement, you'll see here the question was, to what extent do you agree that the mission provides a broad-based description of the important work in Moore County Schools? For the strongly agree and agree, we've gotten to 84% of the responders agreed that this is a description of the Moore County work, and then you've got a few that neither agree or disagree, and only one disagree. Moving into the core beliefs, when we looked at the updated statements and if they still align with the district's core beliefs, 84% agree overall, and then you've got a couple there, 3 in total, that say it does not align. And comments were made, an opportunity to provide comments after each section was provided, so you can read through some of those comments that are made there. Not every respondent gave a comment, but there are just a few there for you to read. Moving into the section about the goals, again, overall, the feedback was very positive, and so we'll just kind of talk through a few of the goals. For goal 1, the feedback was positive. 80% agreed with the goal of increasing the number of schools meeting or exceeding growth from 17 to 24. We only got 1 that disagreed with the goal. For goal 2, increasing the overall performance, composite grade level proficiency by 10 percentage points. Again, 84% agreed with this goal and only 1 disagreed. For goals 3, 4, and 5, there is a wider distribution of responses here, and so we can make some inferences about why that might be. But for goal 3, around increasing reading, we're talking about reading in 3rd grade, right? It's our proficiency in Lexile there. And so you'll see that there's a wider distribution. So 17% disagreed with this goal. It may indicate a need really to be more clear about the focus of what this goal is, that our focus is about literacy, early literacy, and intervention, like Ms. Bruno has said, and that where we can monitor that impact is when we get to that 3rd grade data. And so maybe it's just about the clarity. Just a thought. For goal 4, again, a larger distribution, and there was a larger section here on the neither agree nor disagree for increasing the number of 10th grade students reading at or above grade level. For goal 5, again, a larger number of respondents for neither agree or disagree. Inferences can be made about these 2 goals then based on that. And there were 2 that disagreed with increasing the context ranking of grade level proficiency from 10th place to top 5 in the state. And then the last goal was decreasing the number of schools that were rated a D or an F. 84% agreed with that goal and only 1 disagree. The very last section, which also had the most comments, was on the board priorities feedback. Overall positive, no disagrees, right? 83% solidly in the agreement of the board priorities, and 4 neither agreed nor disagree. Lots of wonderful comments there for your review. Are there any questions or comments before moving into next steps again?
I just wondered, what was your overall, opinion or, vibe that you received from the different groups that you visited with? Yeah.
Again, for the Teacher Advisory Council, which has a teacher representative from each school, we have our monthly meeting with them. The feedback, again, was overall very positive about the board priorities, the conciseness. They really liked the board priorities and had a lot of conversation around that. And then some of the questions were, again, around the focus on literacy versus math or other content areas. And so if I were making inferences, it might just be about communicating why we are measuring that versus others and how that connects to other content areas and why this would be our focus versus others.
Support staff was very complimentary of the conciseness. They appreciated that we had it down 2 pages. Again, really liked the new section that they saw, which was the board priorities, and the way that the board chose to describe each of those priorities was something that was that they highlighted as being really important to them too, that they really liked.
For the principals, our process around school improvement and for creating our school improvement plans that are aligned to this strategic plan goes little unchanged. Always aligned, always looking at grade level proficiency, always looking at those indicators. And so the principals appreciated what the strategic plan was about, and they will continue to create their plans based on their data and how it aligns, looking at reading and math and science, as well as attendance, community engagement.
So next steps, if I may, we're getting close to bringing a recommended plan to the board for approval. Certainly we're open to any feedback or comments that you may have today, but what we'd like to do is give you an opportunity to review the community feedback over the next several weeks. We'll open what we call a Board of Education feedback portal. That's a fancy name for things to please email me, with any suggestions, concerns, or comments that you have by May 20th, so that we can take that, combine that together, make adjustments. The goal is to bring forward to you a recommended version of the strategic plan at the June 2nd, have some more discussion at that meeting about that, make any changes, and then have the board endorse a 25-27 strategic plan at the June 9th regular board meeting. So feel free to email me any thoughts, concerns, things that you'd like to make some adjustments to the draft based on the community feedback or what you're hearing from the public. We thank you for the opportunity to bring this forward to you.
I have a question. So maybe I should infer this, but the people who submitted feedback through the portal, some of them had constructive feedback. Did any of your groups that you convened have any specific suggestions to add, or did you just get a feel for what parts they responded to?
Again, the feedback was overall very positive, maybe a comment or two, and we did write it down on word choice.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't think there was any feedback requiring or requesting any dramatic change or any, that this is not appropriate, anything to that nature that we heard.
Okay. It's safe to say that they feel comfortable being able to achieve and work with what our vision is. Yes.
It was very positive.
Yes. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great presentation. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Mike.
All right, so we've concluded item 2, and at this time, we have a request to add.
Yes. Mrs. Metcalf is coming up for the field trip, and I would like to request an amendment to the agenda to move pending item number 3A up for action today. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am, Madam
Yes.
Vice Chair.
And go
Yes.
ahead, and Dr. Locklear will expound a little more so that we have a understanding as why we're moving it to take action today if that amendment passes. So I make a motion to do that.
Just quick information about that motion. The reason to move it to action today, you'll note these are two national competitions for CTE service organizations. One of them requires air travel, and so that week can help with air travel. So that's why I'm asking that we move this to action today if the board agrees.
Thank you, Dr. Locklear. We've had a motion from Ms. Davis. Do we have a second?
Second. Oh,
Okay, second by Dr. Dahl. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, we'll move item A to as an action item. So I guess under item, still the same thing. Okay. All right, thank you very much, Dr. Locklear.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'll turn it right over to Mrs. Metcalf to give us a quick briefing of these. We're excited for these students and the opportunity they'll have to compete at the national level. Ms. Metcalf.
First, thank you so much for moving it up to an action item. Truly appreciate that. We have 2 Union Pines High School students who have placed first in their respective competitions. One is the North Carolina Skills USA competition. That student would like to compete at the national competition in Atlanta, Georgia, June 23rd through the 27th. And then another student placed first in the Health Occupation HOSA competition, and they've qualified to compete at the national competition in Nashville, Tennessee, June 18th through the 21st.
All right, thank you very much. So this is an action item. Do we have a motion that the board approve the presented out-of-state field trips?
So moved.
All right, motion by Ms. Davis.
second.
Second by Dr. Dahl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Metcalf.
All right, so now we are at item B. Dr. Locklear.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We have Dr. Metcalf back up with Donna Gephardt and Diane Fay, our specialists for advanced studies and social studies. I want to first thank our board liaisons who met with this team to dive in a little deeper into the weeds on our academically gifted and intellectual gifted plan that's required to be submitted to the board. We appreciate the board's engagement with that, Dr. Dow and Ms. Bruno. And I will turn it right over to Ms. Gephardt to present the overview of the plan, and certainly appreciate our board liaison's feedback to help make it better. So,
Thank
Ms.
you so
Gephardt.
much. Good morning, Dr. Locklear, Chairman, members of the board. We are so excited to present today our academically and intellectually gifted plan that we must submit to the state by July 15th. I want to just go back a little bit to the history of Moore County. We have had a strong gifted program since really 1994, when the state started transitioning gifted education. Moore County was one of the leaders, and we're very proud of that. We very much want to make sure that we are serving our gifted learners and ensuring that they have strong academic, rigorous experiences, and we do a phenomenal job of that. We have gone through many plans. So the state, under Article 9B, requires us to write a gifted plan every 3 years. So every 3 years, we write a new plan, we gather data, we gather feedback, and we write a plan that best meets the needs of our students. So the nice thing about Article 9B is we are consistently always looking to see what are our changes that need to occur, how to better serve our students, and align with different state initiatives. So we do a really good job with that. This current plan, Diane has gone through. We've gotten feedback on the current plan that will end at the end of this school year. And we've made minimal tweaks and changes based on the needs of our learners. Again, we have a strong philosophy of making sure that our gifted learners get opportunities that will allow them to engage in next steps for them, whatever that might be, military, college, or ready for the career, working career. So we're super excited for Diane to present some big picture. Again, I want to thank Dr. Dahl and Ms. Bruno for your hard work of supporting and listening to Diane and I go through that. But I'm going to turn it over to Diane to go through. We have standards where we have 6 standards with practices under each of those standards. So Diane's going to give an overview of the highlights of each of those 6 practices and what Moore County does for our gifted learners.
I am just going to hit highlights. I know the draft of the plan is linked, so if you have specific questions, by all means, stop and ask. Standard 1 deals with our identification practices, and just kind of some of our big highlights. We do screen all students in Moore County schools for gifted. We screen in 2nd grade and again in 6th grade, and so those are any student who's not already identified participates in that. And it gets us a chance to look for anybody who might have been overlooked previously. We do have 4 pathways to identification, and those are pathways that are aligned to the areas that the state recognized and gifted. Our first 3 pathways all use some sort of testing that they are aligned to, both ability testing and achievement testing, and that we require testing at the 90th percentile or higher to qualify. And then we have what we call our non-traditional pathway for identification. And that pathway looks at student performance tasks. And it's an opportunity for students who maybe don't do their best on standardized testing to show us what they can do. We assess those performance task responses off of a rubric that is based on our gifted standards that are part of our plan. Some of our other things aligned with identification, we do accept transfers. So students who come with a prior gifted identification, we will accept that as long as we have that paperwork and place them for services. And then for every student who is identified, we develop what's called a differentiated education plan. And what that does is it allows us to think about, now that we've tested and we've recognized that this student needs something different, what does that something different look like? And so that plan gives us an opportunity to think about the services that we're providing that's going to meet the needs of the student. Looking at Standard 2, this is looking at the program as part of the total school community. And so the goal of these practices in Standard 2 is to make sure that the AIG program doesn't operate in a silo outside of the rest of the school. So this is where we outline specifically our services for our K-8 AIG students, where we have AIG teachers in place to serve directly. They are identified students get 45 minutes of service time with that AIG teacher weekly, and they are AIG all day, every day in their core classrooms, but we do think it's important that they get some time with that AIG teacher and as a group working on things that are maybe unique or specific to their gifted needs. And so we call that our pull-out services, or in the plan you see it referenced as our enrichment study groups and our academic study groups. We also have pretty explicit processes for grade or subject advancement for our highly gifted students so that we can meet those needs. And then we have a lot of opportunities for advanced coursework. So, and that can be everything from early kindergarten enrollment for students who are ready to start kindergarten when they're 4, credit by demonstrated mastery, where our high school students can demonstrate credit for a class without sitting through the class. We have a very robust dual enrollment program with Sandhills. That's a great opportunity for our students to get advanced coursework. And then the compacted math program that starts with our middle school students and builds them to high school readiness for advanced coursework. So all of that falls within that Standard 2. We also, in Standard 2, address the need for cluster grouping. So our schools, particularly elementary and middle schools, we ask them to, when they're scheduling for the next year, look at who is identified as gifted and make sure that those students are clustered together in a class, as opposed to sprinkling one student in each class. It makes it easier for the core classroom teacher to pull a small group of students and work with them at maybe a different level or on a different task where their readiness lies. And then the last piece of Standard 2 for us is our talent development program. So for students who show the potential for giftedness, we want to make sure that we're growing that potential. And a lot of times they need some more time to mature and grow before they're ready to do testing. And so talent development gives us the opportunity to work with those students, develop those skills, give them an opportunity to kind of work with the AIG teacher prior to testing for identification. Standard 3 is differentiated curriculum and instruction. So looking at how we serve those students on a day in and day out basis. There's really 2 big pieces of this, as we can see even just in the name of the standard with differentiation. Differentiation is a core piece of this. So this is where we really bridge and partner with our core classroom teachers to ensure that those students who are gifted or who are working at an advanced level are getting what they need to grow. And so that's an important part of all of our frameworks, that they have small group time and that we're flexibly grouping those students. The other really big piece for Standard 3 for us is our Moore County Schools gifted standards. So these were developed, I think, 2 plan cycles ago with AIG teachers, and it gave us an opportunity to really think about what we wanted the program to look like. What skills did we feel were really important in developing with our gifted students? And these are also things that we see reflected a lot with DPI's Portrait of Graduate. It's what you'd call durable skills. So are we working on that advanced communication? Are we working on the critical and creative thinking aspects? Are we teaching students how to apply their knowledge in new situations? And so that was kind of the basis for our gifted standards. Standard 4 looks at our personnel and professional development. I think we mentioned we have 10 amazing AIG teachers who work with our K-8 students, and that is comes through the budget that is set aside for gifted work that comes from DPI or from the state. And then we have high school facilitators that work at each high school. They are there to kind of help facilitate and manage paperwork, help advise students on what they can access in terms of advanced courses at their high schools. PD is also part of Standard 4, and this is where we have done a lot of work this year, especially with our honors teachers at the high school, getting them to think about what does it mean to teach an honors level class? How are we growing our advanced students in those honor level courses? And then in future, with this plan, what we've outlined is a plan to provide more professional development for our cluster teachers. So a lot of our teachers come to us, they have very little knowledge of working with gifted students or what a gifted student, how it's different from maybe a student that they would normally encounter in their class. And we want to provide some support for them Just like we provide support for how to work with our EC students to scaffold up for them, are we providing that same support in professional learning so that they know how to scaffold further for our advanced learners? So that's a big piece of what we're hoping to work on in this new plan. Standard 5 looks at our partnerships, intentional two-way partnerships with our family and our community. So a big piece of this is our Parent Advisory Council. We ask every school to have a parent representative who meets with me, and that council is a big part of providing feedback on our plan and our program. In the past, they've had some really great recommendations for things like a progress report so that they know what are students working on and are they making progress on the gifted standards. And it also helps us ensure that there's some consistency in our services across our schools. Parents are the first ones to tell you when there's a problem. So we welcome that partnership, though, because that's been really great for us to strengthen our program. And then it's an opportunity for us to support parents. Parenting a gifted child can be very difficult, and so building an opportunity for them to work together and maybe address some things that as a parent of a gifted child you may not know or may not consider. It's a great opportunity for them to come together. We have, as we said, a really robust partnership with Sandhills, and that's very important for our advanced learners because a lot of them are moving on to take the dual enrollment classes early in high school. Our last piece of our plan is accountability, and that's in Standard 6. We are very cognizant that this plan drives everything we do, and it's why we take a lot of time and we work very carefully to make sure that we've laid everything out clearly and that we follow our plan. This is your approval of the plan is what gives us a reason to operate, and it gives us what we can and cannot do. So it gives us those guardrails for our program. We do a lot of data monitoring. I work very closely with Kate Faw and PAR to make sure that our data is being monitored, that we're looking at how successful our students are, and then using that data to reassess if we need to adjust things. This is where in Standard 6 we talk about our AIG budget. So there are some state funds that are set aside specifically for our gifted students. That is what we use to pay for our AIG teachers so that we have that direct support for them. And then our last piece of our plan is our review of disagreement. And that's really just a safeguard for parents and for students to make sure that if there is a concern, that they have a way to address it within the program. And I welcome your questions.
And we'll just add, currently 14% of our students are identified as AIG, either through, based on the assessments that we give. So I will say Diane's screening that she talks about, her universal screening of every second and sixth grader is huge in making sure that we are identifying the kids who need those differentiated experiences.
Yeah. Along those lines, do you evolve kids into AIG over the course of 12 years, or are they pretty much lumped, at the beginning?
Typically, we don't pick up a lot of students before that second grade screening, just because they're learning how to do school initially. We have a few students who usually show up early, just because they come in and they are that bright and need that support. Most of our students, though, are either going to come in that second grade screening and then they continue through the program, or they may move in.
Okay, great. Is this program directed by legislation?
It is the Article 9B legislation that dictates that we must have a program and that there are certain parameters we have to respond to.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have an equivalent program that IDs reading and math challenged kids.
So students who struggle with reading or math would be picked up through exceptional children's programming, which would be the federal programming.
Okay, so that screening process begins in K through whatever. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That would be our MTSS that you hear us talk a lot about, and how we use iReady to look and try to fill those gaps to keep students from necessarily having to be classified as students with disabilities. So, but we start intervening for students who are struggling as early as they step in the door and that we notice that there are concerns. And that will include, besides the diagnostic, it also includes the Read to Achieve camp that we do in second and third grade.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, state required.
Thank you.
Yeah, me. Yeah, Donna and Diane, I mean, I can't tell you how impressed I was with this. I went through that whole booklet not really understanding and knowing what the gifted program was about. And my main concern was just kind of letting everybody in and not keeping the standards high. And boy, you guys work and you do a tremendous job. And the standards are high, they're kept high, the students are living up to it. I just thought it was amazing. Congratulations to you both. Super, super job.
Thank you.
I just want to add to that because Ms. Bruno and I enjoyed the same detailed briefing. There's a lot of text in this plan. Hang on, I have it. Okay. There's a lot of text. Every word is meaningful. Every word is based on understanding the needs of these gifted children, the diverse nature of the group, the way that they interact with what else we offer in the schools, the rest of curriculum and the rest of the student body. There's just a tremendous amount of knowledge of the kids in the school system and how to serve them in here. And these two have done a fantastic job with it. Wouldn't you agree, Ms. Bruno?
Thank you.
I believe you answered the only question that I did have, and that was that your AIG funds, they're spent specifically on teachers only. Is there any other resources that can go to? And what are your needs? What is something
That typically takes all of what we are allotted
that's what
from
I
the state.
assumed. Yes, ma'am.
And we do have local dollars that the
Oh, you
district
knew where I
does
was
allow.
going.
I knew exactly where you were going. So Diane will, we're fortunate to have an AP partnership which helps pay for our AP training in the summers when Diane sends AP teachers to get trained. But we have the testing needs that Diane has for the AIG plan to make sure we're supporting and following this plan. We do have some set-asides in a local budget.
Okay, very good. And 10 teachers, you said?
Yes.
Is that's sufficient for the 14%?
We could always invite more,
Right.
particularly with our high school.
Thank you.
We have
Okay.
looked at ways to expand our supports at the high school, but are also very aware of our limitations.
Okay.
I will say, we have been 10 teachers since I was an AIG teacher back in 1999. So it's been a long time since we had. And Diane did have a vision, if we ever get another position, for a high school liaison to help with some of the programming and CCP stuff.
Thank you. And thank you for everything you do.
And just to conclude, thank you, Ms. Bruno and Dr. Dahl, for being our liaisons to this incredible group. And just, it's always such a testimony of the services and the planning and the details and the level of opportunities that we have for our students in Moore County Schools. And thank you so much for your leadership and time and efforts and dedication. Thank you very much.
I will just say Diane is our regional Sandhills lead as well. So Diane is not only a strength for Moore County, she supports this entire region. And we commend Diane for her incredible work and are very proud to have her as part of our Moore County school family.
Absolutely.
You stole
Thank
my
you very
thunder,
much.
Donna.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you, Diane. Appreciate your leadership.
Thank you.
You said it much more eloquently than me, Donna. And we're keeping our Rockstar team up here to present the update to an endorsement of puberty and reproductive health and safety education curriculum. There are some tweaks to the resources and curriculum that we have based on revised standards from the state. Again, I want to say thank you to our board members who served as board liaisons to kind of dive deep into these revisions, so the board would have members of the board would have a deeper understanding there. Ms. Bruno and Ms. Davis, appreciate you doing that, but I'll turn it right over to Donna again to introduce this and give an overview, and of course look forward to the comments from Ms. Bruno and Ms. Davis.
Thank you, Dr. Locklear. This is the first time since 2012 that we have had new healthful living and PE standards. So we have standards that were adopted in 2024 by the State Board of North Carolina that then gave us a year to start our what we call installation year, and that's a year for us to get ready for these new standards and get our curriculum stuff revised and completed. So we have worked diligently once the unpacking came out in March to revise our puberty standards, which has to be board approved. We are very excited to bring and say that there were very little tweaks. This new curriculum will start, all the new Healthful Living and PE curriculum will start with the 25-26 school year. So the puberty curriculum that you are looking at would be implemented in our classrooms for 25-26. The one-pager document, I tried to give you the baby without all of the, and again, thank you, Ms. Bruno and Ms. Davis for the in-depth notebooks. Dr. Metcalf has more if anybody else wants to to enjoy their puberty opportunities here. But at the very top of the one-pager, you saw DPI documents. The one that I really leaned on was the crosswalks. The 2024 crosswalks allows us to see what were the standards in 2012 and what has changed for 2024. Then we have two unpacking documents. You have an elementary unpacking document and a middle school unpacking document. Those guide us as a district to say, here's what your curriculum should look like to fulfill these standards. So we use that to help us create the standards. Then when you see fourth grade puberty, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, these are the lessons and the PowerPoints and the scripts. So I want to just talk a little bit about history here that we've done in Moore County. And I commend our PE teachers, our principals, and the board because of how strong I think we've made this for our parents and our community. The first big change in 2023 was we put in letters that required parents to either say, my child can have puberty or my child will not have puberty. So we actually get a letter from every parent stating yes or no, which is critical to me. I want to make sure that we know exactly what the parents' intentions are. We also, if we don't get that letter back, our PE teachers or our administrators will actually call to make sure that we are getting and we know the parent's intent. No student sits through a puberty without the parent consenting yes on the letter. So if I never get a letter back, I can't get in touch with the parent, then they are given an alternative assignment. The second thing that I'm so proud of is that our front-facing curriculum. Prior to this, parents would have to go into the school, make an appointment with the principal, and they would have to then go through a notebook very much like this. So it wasn't very accessible to parents because I might not be able to get off work in time to go look at this. So we now have the front-facing curriculum. So everything you see on this document from the PowerPoint to the script is all front-facing for our parents to view so that they know exactly what's going to be in each of those lessons and what the teachers are going to say. That's another piece we put in 2023. We actually added a lot of professional development for our PE teachers to say, you stay on script. We trained them on the scripts and the PowerPoints that coincided with that. And we stress, the favorite comment that I always say to them is ask a trusted adult. You don't answer anything that's not in that script. You ask them to ask a trusted adult because we want the parents to be the ones to make the decisions for their child. The other great thing that we put in place is to have two adults in the room so that if it's a male, there'll be two males in the boys and girls are split in the puberty classes, and there'll be two males in the males class and two females in the female class, just to make sure that we are staying on script and that we are, because there is a question box, and that's encouraged by the state but most of that question box goes to ask a trusted adult because kids have lots of unique questions. So we want them to go to that trusted adult or a parent, whoever that trusted adult is. But we want them getting accurate information. So those changes, I think, have really strengthened how we do puberty instruction in Moore County schools. I am pleased to say that in 2023, at that beginning of that school year, the board had approved what I call the East Carolina University had a puberty curriculum that we greatly modified to fit the Moore County way. So we are using still pieces of the ECU curriculum that is still very extremely modified. I was delighted when I started going through this curriculum that there were not tremendous amounts of changes. Ms. Bruno and Ms. Davis will tell you, pretty much we were able in 4th grade to take and move down to really one day of a puberty lesson that's really focused more on how the body changes during this puberty time, how your sweat glands get a little more sweaty and how that affects body odor and that kind of stuff. 5th grade, we were able to, I first want to say with the 6 strands, our interpersonal communication and health relations is where our puberty standards fall. So not all of those standards are going to be taught in the puberty lessons. Like decision-making is good decision-making. I'm going to teach that throughout every lesson that we have about how to make appropriate decisions. So the lessons that we are looking at here are the ones in that interpersonal communication and health relation plan that point blank addresses the puberty. So 5th grade would be 1 to 2 days, depending on the amount of time that is in the PE class. Some of our classes are around 35, 40 minutes, some are 45 minutes. 6th grade pretty much stayed the same. There were not a lot of changes with 6th grade puberty. It was pretty much able to be taught exactly like it has been in the past. The 7th and 8th grade is where we see one pretty significant change, and that was adding sex trafficking. So there is a whole strand through that we added the sex trafficking to make sure that we were complying. And as the 2 representatives from the board said, that was probably a needed opportunity. So we added a video and just the DPI, we actually took straight from that unpacking document what DPI refers as the grooming, so that it was very clear and concise of what we were expected to teach to our kids in that area. So there's not a lot of changes. I'm excited to say there's not a lot of changes in the puberty curriculum, that we were able to pretty much just modify what we had already done. The scripts are up to date. One of the requests, I am going to have Charlie, if you'll just pull up a PowerPoint for 7th grade. One of the requests, Ms. Davis, and I hope this does make it look a little, you wanted it to look more very serious content. We did try to change the background, and if Charlie scrolls through, we did try to take off some of the smiley faces and funny things, just so that we were able to have it more serious looking. We got rid of all the white backgrounds so that there was what I hope would be more where they realize how serious, the kids realize how serious this is. So that was one great suggestion that we definitely put in place. But everything is up to date. It's there for you to preview and look at. As Charlie scrolls on down, you will see just all the new standards have been placed in. All of the updates are there. Everything with the unpacking has been addressed. So you can see sort of below that the big changes. And the other big change in 7th and 8th grade, there was a pervasiveness of STD mentioned throughout sexually transmitted diseases. The state now, the standard actually goes to sexually transmitted infections. So we have moved everything over to the sexually transmitted infections. So those are the big changes. Excited about this. Glad we could modify and tweak and didn't have to start all over, and feel very confident that we have maintained the Moore County expectations with keeping puberty exactly as it should.
And if the curriculum is endorsed by the board next week at your Monday regular meeting, it'll be placed online over the summer, go into effect for the 25-26 school year, and then once again, any student who's involved in the puberty curriculum, parent has to sign up for that, allow their student to participate.
Microphone.
Will that be on the individual school's website?
There is a link to our curriculum documents on the school websites as well as the Moore County website. When you go under curriculum and instruction, you go to Moore County documents, but it is also linked in the school areas.
Great, thank you.
They would just go under there to look at it.
Super.
Ms. Bruno?
Go ahead. Okay. Are you finished? Donna, again, you knocked it out of the park. We have a lot of parents that worry a whole lot about this being taught, and I have to say that I went through You think your
Yeah.
book was big. Look at this one. I read it. No, they were there. I read the book before our committee meeting, and I read it again after. It is just perfect. I don't see any reason why any parent wouldn't want their child in there. What I loved about it was the strong emphasis that you are putting on the web, that teaching children, once it's out there, it's never going to be off. And the damage that it could do for your future life, for your future education, for your future employment. I thought that was really important, and there was great emphasis put on that. I love the stay on script. So teachers are given what they're supposed to say and ask a trusted adult. And 2 adults in the room, I mean, it's just so well done. We watched the videos, which were so wonderful. The ones that should be I don't want to say comical. What's the word? With cartoon figures, they were so well done for the younger children. And the other ones were terrific. I mean, you're really reaching your audience. And I loved it that Shannon had them more serious videos. I thought that was brilliant on your part. And the sex trafficking. And I believe that sex trafficking has to be taught. The General Assembly has it put out. So this is so important. It was so well done in the video and in all your highlights. I think you did the best job. And I just want to say to any parent out there who doubts this, don't. Coming from Shannon and me, it's a wonderful, wonderful curriculum. Thank you, Donna.
Well, just a question. I looked at a number of the PowerPoints and the scripts, but I did not come across any of the ones on sex trafficking. Can you identify which lessons those were so I can look at them?
Yes, if Charlie will scroll down, it should be in my one-page document. It should be, scroll on down to the bottom, Charlie. I'm going to look for the standard. Right there. Go up a little bit. If you find the PowerPoint, and I'll tell you exactly which one, 7.ICHR 3.4, which should be, go up one more, Charlie. Should be, go up. Should be day 3. Go up to, wait a minute,
I
day
see
4.
it.
It's day 4.
I see it.
Yeah, lesson 4. So that will have the addition of the sex trafficking materials.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, go ahead. Do you have something, sir?
I was just going to say, Dr. Dahl, I have a book if you'd like to take one home. I've got a book.
Just thank you, Donna, for all the hard work that you've done. I do want to obviously highlight that we pride ourselves on having safe schools, and this is a part of safety too, and teaching our children how to be safe personally with their behaviors and on the internet. It's a beast that we didn't have to think about 20 years ago, and we're learning as we go, unfortunately, and it's our children who will pay the price of how well we manage what we've been given on the internet. So just thank you for what you've done, and that's all. You did a great job.
Just to conclude, thank you again, Ms. Bruno, Ms. Davis, for your service. And we really appreciated your comments today and your time that you spent to preview the information. And thank you, curriculum team, Ms. Gephardt and your team, to make sure that we're quality, that we're sharing the information with parents, that it's on our website for anyone to access, and most of all for making sure our children are well educated and prepared for their futures. Thank you. Dr. Locklear?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, thank you, Donna. and the whole team for all the hard work of doing that. And thank you, board members, for being part of that. That's incredibly impactful and helps us make sure we've got the best curriculum we can possibly have. The next item on the pending action agenda, Madam Chair, is approval to purchase Eureka Math Squared, a K-8 math curriculum. I'll let Donna jump right into it. We did pilot this resource, make sure we had feedback from the field, from our teachers. And many of you have been in the classroom and probably seen this, probably talked to teachers. So I think it's been a very positively received by our teachers across our district. So I'll just turn it right over to Donna. It is something that comes with a hefty price tag over multiple years, but we believe it will be impactful for our students. Donna?
Thank you, Dr. Locklear. So this is exciting to me. I can remember back in 2020 when I came back to Moore County, we were just implementing Big Ideas Math. And that was a product that the district had just purchased. And I remember one of the first questions that some of the board asked is, well, what is the data going to tell us? I will say, since we've had a very consistent, pervasive math program across K-5, we have seen an increase in our mathematics scores due to the fact that we are being very consistent and very much of looking at our standards and being standards-based. So we knew with Big Ideas that in 24-25, that would be the last year of the 5-year contract. So we started exploring different types of curriculum materials. And in 2023, Pinehurst Elementary reached out to me and said, can we pilot Eureka Math? We feel like the rigor is there because it's a standards-based math program that aligns, it's focused on skills, not necessarily the North Carolina standard course of study. And that skill development is so critical. So we allowed Pinehurst Elementary to pilot that. And due to the fall piloting and the teachers raving about it, we ended up doing one module. Eureka Math has modules. So we ended up piloting in a couple schools, one module. We let it be principal choice and teacher choice. And we just tried one module out. So we had training in January. We had actually training in October for our middle school based on our middle school principals' desire, and then training in January of 2024 for our elementary schools. Based on that pilot, many of them wanted to expand a little bit and have a full year pilot. So there was one school who wanted to do K-5, which was McDeeds Creek and Pinehurst again in 24-25. This year we've had McDeeds and Pinehurst doing K-5. We've had several schools doing 3-5, and we've had a couple doing 2-5, and then a couple that are just doing second and third grade. So we've again, you guys know that I believe in pilots, and I believe that it's teacher directed and that we make decisions here at this level based on what teachers give us feedback with. So we know that was an important pilot. They got trained over the summer. But what's exciting about this is a K-8 program. So every K-8 student will have sort of the same mathematical framework. They'll start with a fluency activity. Fluency is critical with mathematical development. Then they move into a launch, which I call it's the way to activate your brain and find out how are we going to launch this curriculum material. Then we have our lesson, and then we have what's called a land. At each of these Eureka Math lessons, K-8, they get an exit ticket. We look at those student responses and determine who might need small group tomorrow, and as we get ready to move on, who might need a little something before we move on into the next lesson of the day. So again, a very skills-based lesson. The reason we're looking at a 3-year pilot, North Carolina is in a major curriculum overhaul, I guess is the best way to say it. Currently, English Language Arts is being reviewed. But in 2025, math will start a revision. So 25-26 school year, our mathematics standards will be part of a revision. Now, English Language Arts has already started this, and we were told, just minor changes. Well, it's been major changes. So from those of us in the field that are going, okay, I'm not going to just believe that it's going to be minor changes for math. So what will happen is next year the state will revise math standards. Then in 26-27, it will be installation, which means the school districts have a year to get ready for this new math curriculum. And then 27-28, the math new standards will start. Well, that's the brilliance of Eureka Math Squared. It's a skills-based program, so if we need to move modules around, we'll be able to do that. So we're very excited by being able to look at a skills-based program. We have a very strong PD plan. This is one of the things I love about our partnership with the Eureka Math. One, we get a math coach. They have given us 20 days free of a math coach, which means they can come in and they can work with our principals. They can come in and work with our teachers. Eureka Math has a really cool tool that's an implementation support tool. We call it the IST. We actually take that implementation support tool and we walk a building with this math coach. So I'm gonna use Miss Co because we've done New Century this past school year. We walk in and we look at the lessons and then we go look at the delivery of that math lesson in that classroom. Powerful. Kim Co said it was one of the best. She said, I think every principal needs this. She said, I grew so much as a principal to know what to look for math. So the idea with those 20 days is to really make sure we are doing that implementation support tool in classrooms to support our schools that are piloting this endeavor and to make sure that we are continuing strong mathematical practices. In addition, we received 11 PD days. Now, I know good teachers, they don't want to wait till August to hear about the new program that we're going to be putting in place in 25-26. So our PD plan starts in June. So we will have teacher days around all throughout June and July to give choice. And same way with the middle school. Any new teachers will be able to come into the middle school in June and July. The other thing that I'm most proud about is one of the strengths that Eureka said is we need to look at our administrators. We need to make sure they understand a program that is a skills-based program. So we're actually going to have a day for our principals to come in and APs to come in and be trained on the foundation of what does fluency, launch, lesson, and land look like across. So we're very excited about the support. The other thing that we got free for only 1 year was the Equip, which is a tool that allows folks to pre-assess, post-assess, and they have a new part. It's called Math Catalyst. So what we will be doing is looking at down the road, based on what our teachers tell us, we're going to be looking at, does this potentially replace K-1-8? It's only in first grade through 8th grade. Does it potentially replace our iReady so that we would not need iReady and this? So we wanted to look at it. I like to hear from our teachers if this is a good thing or let's keep with our iReady. So we will be definitely getting feedback there. So the important piece with this, you heard me say pilot. The pilot was chosen by the principals talking to their teachers and PLTs. So the schools that are piloting because their teachers and their leadership in the building says we want to embark on this endeavor and we want to make sure we have consistent, strong mathematical practices with this program. So we will pilot for 25 through 2028. So we'll have a 3-year pilot with these schools. We'll be getting and watching their data carefully. We'll be adding that support, those coaching days, which again, the PD starts this June if this is approved by the board. Then we have those coaching days. So we will really be adding the support and making sure that these teachers have everything that they need and the tools in their tool belt to implement this program with fidelity so that then we are able to make decisions in 27, 28 about what is Moore County's next best step. Is it Eureka Math or is it something totally different? So we will really be using this pilot to guide what we do. And again, this is K-8. I love that our middle school principals that are piloting have said, we need, because of the shortage of math-trained professionals, we need a program like this to help lift and support those folks that are in our classrooms. So this pilot will go on for 3 years. As Dr. Locklear said, it does come with a hefty price tag. He started much higher, and I was pleased to see that he came down a little bit. We did look at a 1-year pilot. The problem with a one-year pilot, besides the fact that it was $450,000 for 1 year, the problem with that is then our teachers feel like we haven't invested long range. And they're wondering, well, then why do I invest if next year might be something totally different? So we are investing in that 3-year pilot, which is $555.60, which will be taken out of our state textbook funds. So we receive. Okay. Yeah. No. Did I say $8? I probably did, because this has been a labor of love.
This is where I have to correct Donna. It doesn't happen very often.
This mathematical piece, $899,555.60. I just have to say it a little slower. I tell you, this, when he came in over $1 million on the first quote, I was in tears. I was distraught. And this, I can tell you, shows that this company wants to partner with us. After my last round of tears, and I just sort of threw up my hands and I said, I'm so frustrated. He said, tell me what you want. And I gave him a number. I wish I'd gone a little low. No, I'm not going to say that because he might be listening. But I will say that I am pleased to know that they comped the coaching days. They really know that we're invested in determining if this is the right thing for Moore County children. That is my whole goal, is that these books that you see with these multiple modules, is this the right thing for our children? And is this going to leverage them with the mathematical understanding they need for longevity? So this will come out of our textbook funds and our state textbook funds. We have a 5-year plan to monitor these so that one big purchase like this will not deplete all of that funding.
Talk a little bit about how they work in terms of accrual each year, how much we receive each year, and how we accrue that in your 5-year plan.
So we have
20-year plan. But.
Well, so what we have is like the remaining balance, and I have been very protective of this budget because I knew after the 5 years of Big Ideas we were going to have something. So I've been very, very protective. I'm also very grateful for the 085 literacy monies, which allows us to buy our literacy products. So each year, because I sit on this pot of money, that because I know that their textbooks are not cheap, we add about $471,000 each year to this specific pot of money. So, and some years it's a little more, some years it's a little less. Now, Eureka's not the only thing that has to come out of this. We have other expenditures like Canvas. We have to have our 612 platform. That's paid for out of our textbook dollars. We have AP books that we have to purchase that are not on an open source that we pay for out of this textbook monies. But we have really been, I'm going to say I've been very reflective before we use any of these monies, that I'm making sure that we are not overspending on an annual basis. So we started this year with roughly 1.6 million, and so this will be coming out of that with a couple other things like the Canvas, the Sandhills Community College support of our part of the textbook so that our kids can not have to pay for Sandhills Community College textbooks. So again, we are very conservative with this fund, but we are hopeful that based on the plan, we can continue to have great quality educational resources in front of our children like Eureka Math Squared.
Donna, this is 6th year, correct? Is this 6th grade?
Let me see the side of it.
I have 6.
If you see a 6 and then the underneath that, you should, under the little light pink tab, should tell you what module it is. So if you turn it to the side, it's probably 6th grade, 4th module.
We have the 3 of them. Okay, this is taught in 1 year?
There are multiple modules that are taught, so there could be up to 6 modules under each grade level that are taught in 1 year. So those modules, and the teacher guides are individual modules as well. So those modules are taught at various times throughout the year, so they align to our pacing guides of when those modules are taught.
Okay, so right now, what grades are we doing Eureka with?
Right now we have the pilots in K-5, not all schools, just the pilot.
Right.
And then we're doing 6, 7, 8 in pilot schools. So 6, 7, 8 was the first implemented. We did that back in 23, 24.
Okay. So, but this is with the same kids that went through the 5th grade with Eureka. You're not introducing it in a new school that has never been exposed to Eureka. Is that correct?
Well, that would be because we did small pilots, so it was by choice that they did a pilot. Some of our kids have been in middle school who had never had Eureka Math.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're at New Century and you were not at Sand Hills Farm Life,
Oh, I see.
then you're coming in without the Eureka background, but
Okay.
it's very quick for kids to pick up. It's just that very consistent process with the fluency practice, and everything is right there in the book. So they give them a quick overview book, but they jump right into it.
Okay. Well, when Eureka was when you first introduced it, boy, I looked at those books and I thought, you remember, I thought this is all reading. I don't know about this. So I went to the teachers, and the teachers all loved it. And looking through this book now, I think this is amazing. Gone is all the reading. It's problems now. And I'm in love with this book. I think it's wonderful.
It's an exciting resource
It
for our teachers,
is.
and it really supports our learners.
It does.
I have
I'm
questions.
all for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have questions. So I got a little off track somewhere back. So we have piloted year 5, is that what you said?
No, we have piloted since 2023, we've had various pilots. So 2023-2024 school year, Pinehurst Elementary started the school year with a pilot. Came out of the gate. Started it in August with training, and because of their great success, we had a couple other principals come to us. I'm going to start with elementary, then I'll come over to the middle side. We had a couple elementary principals say, we want to do one module to pilot it to see what our teachers think. So there were about 7 schools who chose to pilot. Again, this is their choice. This was not Donna saying you have to do this. This was them having the conversations at leadership meetings and deciding we want to do one module pilot. Now, 6-8 came about it very differently. At that point in time, in 23-24, we were in such a teacher shortage. We had virtual classroom teachers at that point in time at Cranes Creek Middle School, and they, in October, called me into their meeting and said, in their PLT, and said, we want Eureka Math in our building. So the principals that wanted Eureka Math, we started that training in November. So middle school had Eureka Math starting 2023, 2024.
So Cranes Creek and other schools?
Cranes Creek, New Century, and Southern Middle were the big ones. We tried some pilots. Elise Middle jumped on, and so did High Falls and Westmore. But again, they're letting the teachers decide if this is the best use of, if this is what we really think our kids need. So in the upcoming years, they decided if they wanted to continue to pilot or not.
And then the 25 to 28 plan is for everyone, or is it still by choice?
It's still by choice. So we have in the middle school world, we have some middle schools who've said we definitely want to pilot, and then we have some elementary schools that are doing K-5, and then we have some elementary schools who said, oh, I want to do K through 2, or I want to do 2-3. So we're letting them decide, again, based on the teachers. What they did is went to their teachers to decide what is best for our school, and based on the teachers and the needs of the teachers.
Okay, thank you for going over that again. I know you said all these things before, and I was trying to listen, but
I do talk fast, so.
Putting
Yeah.
together the big picture was a little hard. If everybody wanted to jump on board after the new standards come out and you decide that it's appropriate and everything, how much would the price go up?
Because it would hopefully be a multiple year contract, the more, like if we went back to a 5-year contract, what I hope is we would be able to keep it around less than a million. Because again, this is the first time we've ever had a K-8 adoption. So that's what I have to keep reminding myself. We've never had a K-8, but I hope that we could continue to work like we did with the program this time, and develop where we have that opportunity to make sure we're staying within the price budget of Moore County schools.
So
hoping-
I'm hearing that part of the cost is initiation.
It's some initiation, but it's also the materials are very costly. So each one of those teachers editions is about $35-40. So so hopefully once we get the startup, the next startup would be minor and only student materials, which makes a huge difference. Because if I'm only buying the student materials, that cuts the cost.
Okay, and so I remember you're telling us that teachers who had done this were very positive on it. Can you give us any feedback on how the students responded? And, you know, I'm asking as a high school chemistry teacher who is used to having kids come in who are phobic about math and having to modify what I'm doing to either try to reinforce their old math or teach them chemistry without math. And so literacy is super important, as we have discussed before. But, you know, math, it would be nice if kids had some self-efficacy with math. It would be nice if they weren't afraid of math. It would be nice if they had an intuitive grasp of percents and proportions and things like that. So tell us about feedback about
I'm going to
student
start with
response.
kindergarten because you know
Okay.
I love learning from the little people. So I was in a kindergarten classroom and they were trying to understand the concept of zero, which is a very foreign concept for kindergartners. I mean, that's a difficult thing for them to process. So the teacher did a problem. You have 3 cookies and you give one to your friend, you eat one, and then you give one away to another friend. How many cookies do you have left? So they had to draw their 3 cookies. Then she said, okay, now how many cookies do you have left? So you've got to draw a representation of what's left. So like you would see kids mark through and then say, I have no cookies. The one little girl that I fell in love with, she just started erasing her cookies. And I said, darling, what are you doing? Because my brain did not go, I need to have nothing on this page. That was not where my brain went. My brain went with the crossing out. She said, well, if I gave this one to you and I ate this one and I gave this one to my friend, there's not going to be any cookies on this page. That was priceless from a kindergartner's mouth. And I'm going, okay, I'm going to go sit down in the corner now because that's pretty sophisticated. I'm going to go to New Century now for a middle school perspective. The kids are jumping on. They like, I think, the consistency. I will say the fluency guides our teachers of what I might need to do. Like, we were in a classroom and they were doing percentages. That's a mess. And I was right there with them. I was like, oh my God, I've got to go back to 6th grade math with percentages. But what we're finding is those kids like that consistency and continuity as much as they're going to like any work that we give them. But what I noticed, and this is data, and this is from Kimco, she said, I would be lost without this program. She said, my teachers, and they make it their own. They look at it and they make it their own. They don't have to do all the problems on the page. Her teachers are bouncing in knowing what are the needs of my kids and what do I need to do. And she's seeing a lot of growth out of her students. One of the things she said, I feel like I'm meeting the needs of those high-level 5th graders coming in because my 6th grade teachers are using this product. So the kids are overwhelmingly they're having to think. So we're developing thinkers with skills-based mathematics. We have a group at McDeeds Creek who I think they just flourished last year. But again, it was how the teacher made it fun. I loved watching this teacher teach. They do a lot of problems on whiteboards, and she said, okay, chin it. When I finish my work, I chin it, and then I show, and she sees very quickly what every student knows in the classroom. So do I need to go back and reteach on the spot, or do I need to increase? So I would say our kids definitely are showing improvements with skills that they might have struggled with, and part of that is that consistency with that setup. I think the only true, kids are going to be kids. Middle school's they don't like anything, but I have heard a lot of our elementary folks say this is a lot of fun. When you hear them refer to math as fun, that's a good thing.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
This feels like home to me. It does. And as the homeschool teacher, mom, what you just said there, I was looking at how many problems on each lesson, because, we don't want to shirk them. So
Yep.
you've got the students who can do every single problem and they flourish. Then you have the ones you can go back and you can hone in, hey, you need to focus on this set of problems
Exactly.
because this is where you're struggling. These are foundational, built on each other's skills. And the modules, and it's really incredible. So I wrote down the cost is what obviously is the big deal, but the return on investment is going to be excellent education,
hope.
and it'll be much needed support for the teachers. You honed in on the teachers that don't necessarily have the math background. Anybody, if I can do this, they can do this.
You can.
Yeah, really. So
It's very well laid
It's-
out
yeah,
for
it's-
teachers,
yes,
which is why I love anything to support our
the
teachers.
support that our teachers will get, and it'll catch on. It's already catching on word of mouth how excellent it is, and if we invest in it, that will just go
And-
further, I believe.
And I think our principals having that implementation support tool, again, adds a strength with us going out. Our goal is for Rachel, myself, and our math specialist to go out and do walks with schools to support our teachers.
So, a little bit piggybacking on you, I was curious how the cost. When will we know the cost changes? That is
That
an
so
interest. That's where we need to probably focus our
focus.
attention. Yes.
So in
ma'am.
27-28, what we will look at is do we continue to pilot? Do some schools say, I don't want part, I've got a strong math teacher, Donna Gephardt knows her stuff, she can rock and roll. So we will go back in 27-28 to have conversation. We'll start it in 26, of course,
Sure.
but we'll have more conversations with our teachers in our schools. And then following the data, I am very data driven, and if this is not what's in the best interest of Moore County schools, then after 27-28, we will venture somewhere else. But if it is, the nice thing is most of the teacher additions will have been purchased, so that we won't have that cost again. So then we go down to just a student, and we won't have to purchase the manipulative kits that we're having to purchase this first time for
Right.
startup.
Right.
So if we continue, it would just be a replenishing of student workbooks, which should hopefully come around that same price. What I will say, worst case scenario, let's say our teachers in 27-28 say, I want nothing else to do with Eureka. Then we get some great math manipulative kits, and they get great resources in our teacher editions that they could use and mesh and use whatever. So
Okay. The teacher edition, you know that they'll put out a new edition of the teacher edition every few years. Trust me.
I will have conversation that we will get those free. That no, I think they would really work. And here's what's great about it: if it's minor changes,
Yeah, you can
everything
you
is
can bounce
on,
around a little.
Yeah,
and
everything
dig
is
it out
online.
yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's just to verify that we'll still have it'll still work in a
It
few
better.
years, and we won't have to reinvest in that
That
heavily.
everything all at once. So yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I want to ask you to clarify one more thing. So our upfront costs now are for getting teacher additions and manipulatives and some of the support and stuff. But if this is a pilot, then if we want to expand it to more schools, aren't we going to need to buy more of all that stuff?
There are very few schools who chose not to pilot, so it would not be a horrendous cost. And we're very fortunate for the elementary schools who chose not to pilot. We have big idea materials from Pinehurst and the ones who have piloted to be able to give them mathematical support for the next couple of years
Okay.
from our big idea. So hopefully, again, there are just very few who haven't. So hopefully we will be able not to just have to do much more than sustain the student workbooks.
Okay, thanks.
Just very quickly, I applaud the teachers and principals for problem solving, finding materials, being willing to try it out, to share their thoughts and ideas. I am interested to know which schools will be in this pilot, so you don't have to say it right now, but maybe in the future. Would love to know which ones, and I really appreciate the teacher and principal choice. The buy-in is what really makes the secret sauce when the teachers say what they want to use to teach. I think it's great that this is a skill development, that when that curriculum comes, the skills will be in place, which reiterates what Ms. Davis said about the return on investment. So the return on investment from teacher buy-in, principal buy-in, that we start with those willing to try and implement and figure it out for the rest of us, and the buy-in from the students and the parents. But that skill will lead to whatever the standards might bring, which is something that's really important. Just a final question: have other school districts used this, and have you had a chance to hear from other school districts?
Actually, Robeson County uses this, and we've had some, specifically in middle school, some very promising concepts about how their math is growing. Their math EOG scores have been growing. What is interesting, we're one of many that are looking at a new math program, and I thought it was interesting that Eureka Math was using us to send folks to for the pilot schools that are currently going on, which shows that we have very strong implementation in our program. So we did talk quite a bit to Robeson. I know that's a very different demographic, but just looking at their last 2 years of math scores, where it's being done, the math coach down there for Eureka, she said you've got to look at where I know it's being done, that implementation support tool is being done with Fidelity. So, but I do think Moore County will be, as I said, they've already contacted us and said we'd like to bring such and such county down that fell through. But I'm very excited that I do believe our teachers, with the support, will definitely be leaders in this.
Yeah, I would like to, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I'd just like to echo what Dr. Colcutt said. I'm all focused on all the questions I want to ask, and I realize that could be construed as criticism, but it's just me wanting to understand the details. Really happy to hear that we have so many principals and teachers who are being proactive and wanting to pilot and wanting to find, how can we more effectively help kids understand something which is traditionally a stumbling block for a lot of kids. So really appreciate your work and theirs on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. Thank you, Donna. And she remains here to present something else to the board. The board's familiar. Before we get off that topic, let me just reiterate, I'm also excited, comes with my recommendation for a K-8 math resource and curriculum that brings continuity from the time our students walk in to the time they're transitioning to high school. I think that's a great positive, and I think it's because of the way this is built, it fits any revised standards. So it comes with my recommendation. I appreciate all the work and foresight that went into getting teacher input and principal input to bring it forward. So I do appreciate that.
Excuse me, might we take a quick break?
Sure. Our next item's already, and we'll take a brief recess.
Absolutely. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thank you. Dr. Locklear, item E.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, item E is a recommendation to approve renewing iReady for the 25-26 school year. iReady being a diagnostic tool we've been using in our schools for a few years. I'm going to turn it right over to Donna. This certainly comes with my recommendation for approval. And it does give us the opportunity to braid some funds between Title I and textbooks. So I'll turn it over to Donna for this brief, and it does come with my recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. Locklear. Just want to remind everybody, iReady is our diagnostic tool that we must have in place, which is why we can use some Title I funds. The state requires a diagnostic tool to be done 3 times a year to assess where our students are and then how we are adjusting and modifying and making sure we are shoring up any skill gaps. iReady is designed with the diagnostic, and then it creates a personalized MyPath, which allows students to have a differentiated path to fill in any gaps that they may or may not have. So if I do really well on my diagnostic, I may have some above grade level work. If I need more work in vocabulary, then the program is going to assign me lessons in the area that I have needs. Ideally, iReady is expected to be utilized in our schools based on the research that iReady has given us. The 3 diagnostics, which may take a little longer than an hour. It depends on the kids and how far they're getting. So it may be an hour and a half, 2-hour diagnostic. But then after they do their diagnostic, the MyPath, we expect schools to have students on the MyPath anywhere from 45 to 50 minutes per week in reading and math. So that would be 45 minutes of reading a week and 45 minutes of math, not at all one time. We want them spreading that out throughout the course of the week. So the MyPath should just be used as a quick, a lot of our schools will say for the first 10 minutes while the teacher gets stuff and talks to kids, they start their MyPath lessons. So iReady is a valuable tool. Our teachers really use it. We talk about data in our PLTs. It has a standards mastery assessment, which lets us see how kids are doing on standards. So it's a very vibrant program in our schools. It also has teacher resources. So we're excited. Our quote this year, working with Dr. Scott in Title I, we have been able to braid the Title I funds with the textbook funds that, again, I'm trying to protect over the course of time. And what it would be is we'd be pulling around $237,000 out of Title I and around $106,979.50 out of the textbook funds for the quote for 1 year for our K-8 diagnostic program of $344,329.50.
Thank you. I think it's a wonderful tool. I've seen it in practice for many years. It's established, and I think it meets our needs. Any other comments, questions?
I do have one question. I'm sorry. The diagnostic timetable, you can't split that at all?
They do. They
okay.
can. They will chunk it up. So like a kindergartner may spend 4 or 5 days.
Okay, good.
On it.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, we definitely chunk it up because we want good data.
Thank you.
Because I need their MyPath to be as accurate as
Absolutely.
it can possibly be.
Okay.
Just like some of our middle schoolers who just go through clicking will get a rush flag, so we know, okay, we need to adjust the MyPath because this MyPath probably isn't in the best interest of the student.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
How long have we had iReady on board?
We have been implementing iReady since the 2021-2022 school year.
Okay. Does this constitute a great increase in cost, if any?
This is about what it is each year for the K-8 program. Unfortunately, with the twilight of ESSER funds, that's what we had paid for it up until this school year. We had been paying for iReady with the ESSER funds. So it was a very relief when Dr. Scott told me, hey, we can braid Title I funds. I can pay for the Title I schools because it's a diagnostic requirement by the state, and then I pick up the non-Title I schools. So that helps to be able to braid those funds.
Okay, some creative financing.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Dr. Locklear?
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate all your hard work and leadership, Donna. So now we have Dr. Lisa Scott joining us to talk about the CTE endorsement of the CTE application for funding assurances. This does require the board chair's signature, so we do ask the board routinely to approve this so we can submit this so we can get our funding for career technical education. This is somewhat of a routine matter, but something that we bring to you routinely. So, Dr. Scott, I'll let you walk through it.
Thank you. I don't have one of these in my office, so. Yes, you're right. I have that kind of voice. Might be cheerleading that led to that. I don't know. Good morning, not quite afternoon, almost. Glad to see you all today. So CTE functions off a 2-year application. So the 24-25 school year was the first year, and next year, 25-26, will be year 2. We have received our planning allotments for 2 of our 4 funds. So PRC 013, which is our personnel cost, we are receiving 655 months, which is a 2-month increase from last year, which will allow us to maintain our current staffing within our CTE programs. We won't have any additional, but we are maintaining what we currently have. Our PRC 014 funds are our state funds that we use to provide substitutes for our teachers if they have professional development or if they have to be out for field trips. We use that funding also for curriculum support. So we purchase ICEV, which is an additional curriculum support for our teachers. It also covers our Major Clarity for our 612 students, where we house our career development plans. It helps us cover our Business Advisory Council, any costs that are associated with that, and any professional development that we have. The thing to remember about CTE funding is we are funded based on students in grade 8 through 12. They have not yet included grades 6 and 7 in those allotments. So it's based on our ADM in grades 8 through 12. We have not received our allotment for our federal funding, which is our PRC 017. They're not sure when we're going to get that. That fund helps support our field trips, additional program software, workshop expenses that helps our teachers go to summer conference to get updates on their curriculum. It helps us also if we have teachers who need certain certifications renewed, we help cover that cost for those teachers. It also supports our curricular support and development. So based off what we know right now, this year's allotment was $213,725. We've been told to anticipate perhaps a 5% decrease in those funds, but again, until they give us an official number, we won't know what we have. The other PRC that we have is 083. This is also a state allotment. This is for the credentials and certification costs that we have. So they allot that based off the courses we're offering, the credentials and certificates tied to those courses, and the number of students within those courses. So we get sufficient funding for those credentials and certificates to make sure our students are obtaining those and graduating with those additional pieces for industry employment. That's all I have. Any questions?
I just agree that our career technical education program is just doing an outstanding job. I heard a presentation recently, and we're just thrilled with the work. I really appreciate the details of all the different funding sources, and it's testament that our certifications have increased over the years. And what level are we in the state?
Top 10.
Top 10. So, great job. No questions from me, just compliments.
Thank you.
I
Thank y'all very
have
much.
a question.
Sorry, Ms. Dahl.
So, just what exactly are we committing to with an assurance? And I'm going to say my concern here is the PRC 017 and the fact that federal education funding is a little less reliable right now than it may have been in the past. So are we committing to, in the worst case, make that up if it should not be forthcoming?
No, ma'am, not at this time. All information that I'm receiving from my DPI, NCDPI consultants is we are moving forward and planning as we normally do. So no, I mean, obviously worst case, but no.
Assurances is that we're going to follow the law.
Correct.
And it's the extension of these funds and implementing our programs. We're going to follow what federal requirements and state requirements require us to do. We have to sign off on those assurances that we will follow policy and law. So that's really what that
To
indicates.
clarify, if we did not receive, let's say we did not receive that $200,000, it would not be, we're not required to make those dollars up. You're not assuring that you're going to go locally to make those dollars up.
Okay,
It's
thank
just
you
that we're going to be
for the
following federal
clarification.
law.
It is a good question. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Scott.
Yes, sir.
And again, this comes with my recommendation for approval. Item G, endorsement of the updated 24-25 intercourse intergrade test re-administration plan. If you're feeling like this is deja vu, that's because it is deja vu. We brought this to you, I believe, at your April meeting, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Might have been March, but I think it was
March.
March. Thank you, Kate. At your March meeting for approval, we have a re-administration plan that's required for board approval that we usually are well ahead of schedule submitting to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. However, they changed the rules on us and gave us some options that we didn't have before. I'll let Kate talk about those options and why we are revising our plan, but because we're revising it, we have to get your approval again. So this is something that I think our principals and staff would like to see us revise so they have this option. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Sinan and Ms. Fall.
Thank you. Give it to you.
The principals were very excited to hear about this change. On April 2nd, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction updated their guidance on test re-administration, which previously required that students be retaught and re-administered the EOG after the last day of school. This change now allows for reteaching and re-administration to take place during the regularly scheduled testing window, which for elementary and middle schools is the last 10 days and for high schools is the last 5 days of the school year. Given this change, we've updated our testing re-administration plan to allow for that reteaching and retesting to occur during the school year. However, because it's only 5 days long at the high school, we did add an additional 2 days after the school year for high schools to capture any qualifying students who they were not able to re-administer and retest during the school year. This change allows for more students to have the opportunity to review and retest since it is scheduled during the regular school day when students would already be on campus. It also eliminates the need for buses and child nutrition into the summer, coming at a significant savings to the district. I'm here to answer any questions you may have about this updated plan.
I think it makes common sense and is best for everyone involved. So, thank you to the state. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Kate.
Item H.
Now we'll have Ms. Purvis join us for a few items. The first is for roof repair and replacement at Northmore High School. Certainly comes to my recommendation for approval, and I'll let Ms. Purvis dive right in. Ms. Purvis.
Thank you. Good morning. I hope everybody's doing well. We had the following informal bids for the repair and replacement of the roof on the old gym and the auditorium at Northmore High School. Drytech Commercial, $482,364. Gallagher Management, $458,000, and McRae Roofing, $491,863. The lowest responsive bidder was Gallagher Management. They'll complete both buildings at the same time over the summer. They'll have a 30-year warranty. You'll remember we've used Trimco products in the past. The attachment here shows you that we're again going with that because it has the warranty that will come out at 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 to check those roofs, and that's included with this. So they'll complete this project for $458,000, and it will be paid with capital funds. Any questions?
I do have one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you happen to know how long they've been in business?
I don't, but they're out of Lexington. They're a local business. I think it's been, I mean, they're pretty established. They've done several for us
Yeah, I
around
know,
the state.
I know that. I'm wondering if it just occurred to me, how many times they have fulfilled a 30-year warranty on a school. If you could get
I
that
can
maybe by
ask.
next week,
Certainly.
that just came to my mind.
I
Thank
sure
you.
will. Yes, ma'am.
We can send a quick email to the board with that information, hopefully before next Monday.
Thank
Yep.
you very
Mhm.
much.
I'll get that for you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Purvis.
Yes, ma'am. The second item that we're looking at today is an addition to the McDeeds Creek Playground. McDeeds Creek is in need of additional playground structures to accommodate all students. Remaining county funds after the finalization of litigation and construction has been requested to use for this purpose. You'll remember that we had some litigation that had to be taken care of, so we withheld some funds and did not allow the school to spend every bit of that just in case, so we knew the outcome. Once the outcome came, we let them know the remaining balance they had there. The McDeeds Creek School Improvement Team then met and surveyed staff members over a 2-month time frame in the fall of 2024 to determine the next steps they'd like to do with this remaining money. The school improvement team discussed the impact an additional playground would have on the master schedule, to include maximizing instructional time across all grade levels. Currently, they're scheduling 760-plus children for one playground while trying to honor uninterrupted instructional blocks. So this would allow flexibility in recess and potential vertical planning for teams and teams of coaches. 2 informal quotes were received. Creative Playscapes, $198,339.50. Carolina Parks and Play, $227,000. Creative Playscapes was the lowest quote, and it should be noted that their quote involves a larger main structure and many additional components not included in the other quote. In addition, Creative Playscapes, you may remember, is the company who did all of our schools when we did that district-wide update, and they did a terrific job. We're recommending that the award of bid go to Creative Playscapes in the amount of $198,339.50. We'll utilize $126,473.42 in the remaining county funds towards this project, and the remainder, which is $71,866.08, will be paid with McDeeds Creek after-school daycare and PTA funds that they've raised to go towards this project. Any questions?
Just compliments for the planning and for the collaboration on taking care of this vital need for our children to be able to go outside and play.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jen?
Next project that we're going to look at is a request for lottery funds. Before I talk in depth about the amount that we're requesting, I'd just like to share quickly how lottery funds work. If we request lottery funds and we don't use all of them, they just put them right back in our lottery fund at the end. If we request lottery funds and it's not quite enough, we can request again each month. The state takes requests the 25th of every month, and then they expect to have it in our account about 2 weeks after that, within 2 weeks of the first month. So there's really no danger in asking for too much or too little, because we can always go back. So currently, we have $5,956,544 in our capital lottery fund. We're requesting that a portion of these funds be requested to support the future purchase of a parcel of land for the new Carthage Elementary, as well as to support the design and planning fees for the new school. At this time, we're requesting the approval to access $1,950,000, which would leave just a little over $4 million remaining. Once approved by our board, we'll then present this to the county commissioners on May 20th for approval as well. And Charlie, if you don't mind, would you please click on that lottery request form? So if you'll scroll down, honey. Thank you. You'll see we've requested $550,000 for the possible purchase of land. We generated that number because in looking at the sales of parcels near us over the last year, the acres are ranging from $8,000 to $13,000. So we've requested that amount. Of course, if we don't use that, we can send it back. If we need more, we can request it. Planning and design services, $1,400,000. The way I came to that figure is by taking a look at all 4 schools that we built, the 4 most recent schools. That was the lowest amount that we spent on planning and design services when those schools were built. You know, that was 2018-19. So I think we're pretty safe going with this number, but then again, if we need to, we can always send some back. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, have they ever balked at a request?
Not that I'm aware.
Alright, okay.
And I did speak with Mr. Dennis Hilton at DPI, who takes care of these. And as long, there are, and I've shared this, I think, with you guys before, maybe in our overview of new board orientation, there are certain things that we're allowed to use our capital lottery funds for and our repair and renovation funds for. So as long as we're within the parameters of what they say we can use it for, they don't really balk, because and these are two things that, yes, we can definitely use this money for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Purvis.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Purvis. And of course, this comes with my recommendation for approval. And County Manager Vest is aware of the potential need to be on the County Commissioner's agenda on the 20th. Yes, we've discussed this instruction committee, the need to do this, and it did come with the support of the committee. Yeah. Mhm. The question was this discussed as construction committee? And yes, it was discussed, the path, and that certainly was supported. I hope I'm representing that correctly, Dr. Calcutt. Ms. Purvis, we're going to hit a couple items and come back to the item that got added, if that's okay.
Okay,
Yep.
sure.
Thank
Happy
you.
to do that.
Yep.
Do you know where you're putting it or not?
It'll be the first discussion and information topic.
Okay.
So just a couple more items, and then we'll be
That's great.
right back to that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Purvis.
Sorry, Charlie.
So our next item is approval of the 26-27 Moore County Schools calendar. I'll just say a couple things before I turn it over to Ms. Sinan to do an overview, and Ms. Fall. I know this is one in which the board is deeply passionate about. The idea of why can't we start our school year basically when our Board of Education determines our parents and community would like it to start and would serve our community well. And so when we brought this item to the board, as you recall, the board advocated that we go back and have an early start calendar and one in which follows current law, and to put it out to our community and parents for feedback on the survey. We got 25 respondents to our strategic plan survey. We got over 900 respondents to the calendar survey. So there's a lot of interest in this, and overwhelmingly in favor of an early start calendar. With that said, the current law still does not allow for that. We know there are some school districts who've chosen not to follow the law and move forward with an early start calendar. We also know there's two pieces of legislation that's been entered into, that's met the crossover deadline. One is the Senate, I believe it's Senate Bill 754, that was put up with the Senate to offer some flexibility to the current North Carolina calendar law. As that is currently written, it would allow us to start the closest Monday to August 19th, but each of your semesters would have to equal. That basically doesn't give us any flexibility. It wouldn't work. Wouldn't allow us to test before the Christmas holidays. Now, what that bill also does is add significant more consequences to boards of education who don't follow the North Carolina calendar law. In my view, that's the reason it got introduced. Now, on the House side, which has been favorable to flexibility for really, really many, many years, they also have introduced a bill, House Bill 121, which essentially offers full flexibility to school districts. I believe that also has met the crossover deadline, or may meet the crossover deadline, which is tomorrow. And if it does, then will be the compromise discussion. We'll see where that lands. But currently, the calendar law still stands. And as I've shared before, Superintendent, my recommendation will be that we follow the law. But I certainly understand the desire to have a calendar that better serves our parents and community, and understand why the board would advocate for that. But with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Sinan and Ms. Fall. I probably stole your thunder, but I just kind of want to give a little introduction to this because of all that's flying around about the calendar law right now. Ms. Sinan.
Thank you, Dr. Locklear. Thank you for sharing all of the calendar law and new law proposals, because there's a lot out there. So we have put our survey out. It was for the 26-27 calendars on the Moore County Schools website. It was available for public comment and feedback. We had that available from March 17th to March 28th of 2025. As Dr. Locklear shared, we had over 900 responses. We actually had 943 responses. We had 51.2% of those were parents, 22.5% were students, 15.2% were teachers, 6.7% were other staff members, 2.2% were community members, and then we have a 2.2%, which was all other categories. So respondents could put in, they could name their own category, so some of them did that as well. Overwhelmingly, as Dr. Locklear shared, the feedback was that they prefer the early start calendar that was presented. However, that is not the one that follows the current North Carolina legislation. Of those 943 respondents, 671 asked for the early start or preferred the early start calendar. 230 preferred the traditional calendar. And this year we also added in a no preference because we do realize that there are some folks that it doesn't make any difference. So we had 42 respondents that said no preference. Just as a reminder, the North Carolina calendar law, as it states right now, is that we cannot start any earlier than the Monday closest to August 26th and end no later than the Friday closest to June 11th. We currently have no educational waivers, so Moore County Schools we're not able to apply for any of those waivers. We have to cover 9 calendar months. There is it has to be either 185 days or 1,025 hours. We follow the hours of instruction in our calendars, and currently the traditional calendar has 1,065 hours, so we have about 40 hours banked for inclement weather, emergencies, things like that. We have to designate 2 work days, which shall be designated for teachers to take annual leave. Minimum of 10 annual leave days, which you'll see in the calendar, which is around our holidays. And then we have to have the same or equivalent number of legal holidays as other state personnel. We have to have Veterans Day on Veterans Day. So in this calendar, Veterans Day falls on a Wednesday. That was something that during the committee we did talk about, is that a lot of times our families don't like to have that day off in the middle of the week. They would rather have a Monday or a Friday because of the weekend, which we completely understand, and we try to make sure that we don't put those in there. But for Veterans Day, we don't have any other option. We have to do it on Veterans Day. And we cannot have school on Sundays. So Dr. Locklear already talked about the new legislation. So the traditional calendar classes would begin on August 25th. Second semester begins on January 21st, and the school year ends for students on June 10th. 2027. For the early start calendar, the first semester begins August 11th. The second semester begins on January 5th, 2027, and the school year ends on May 22nd. That calendar allows for first semester classes to end prior to the December winter break, whereas the traditional calendar does not allow for that. And if you have any additional questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Did I miss anything? Okay.
If I could just quickly add, Mr. Swartz sent an email out about this legislation on Friday, so just as a reminder, that's kind of where I was pulling my information from as well. So.
I'm just curious. I know you said it doesn't. What would qualify for a waiver? What are the qualifications for a waiver?
So there's some, I don't know if you have that in there, but there are some districts that, out in the western part of the state, because of the snow and things like that, that may be that. Oh, thank you. Look at that.
Johnny on the spot.
I know, she's so great. Good cause schools closed for 8 days per year during any 4 of the last 10 years due to weather, energy shortages, power failure, or other emergency situations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great question.
Okay. Thanks, Kate. You're welcome.
Can either Dr. Locklear or one of the two of you comment on the urgency of approving a calendar now before we've heard what the General Assembly, where they land?
Well, our normal, this is really our normal rhythm that we always try to approve the calendar that's 2 years out, really before we break for the current school year. We usually are 2 years ahead on the calendar, and so this is kind of our normal rhythm of approving that. because we're ahead, there's no obligation that we have to approve it. This is just something we've always done to try to have planning out there way ahead of time for families. With that said, if there was a law that was passed that allowed us to have flexibility, the board could revisit the calendar during the summer or early fall. It would still give folks a long time to plan if we wanted to then go with an earlier start calendar in 26, 27. Anything I'm off base about that, Jamie, Kate, or Mike? Mike was giving me a critical eye, so I was trying to make sure I didn't misspeak.
I was the one who requested us to have the 2 versions, so I appreciate that extra time and effort that went into you putting that together for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're at item L.
Yes, this we'll get Mr. Waters to join us. Neil, good morning. It's still morning, 5 minutes. Yes, good morning. Neil, our Chief Administrator for Exceptional Children's Services, who also oversees our preschool programming, here to talk about tuition and the need to increase tuition. That hasn't been done for many, many years. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Sinan and Mr. Waters.
So I'm going to let Mr. Waters kind of run through the reasons why, but what we're asking for is a tuition increase for preschool of $10 per week. That would take the rate from $105 a week to $115 per week, which is, like Ms. Davis said, that's so cheap. It's really a great deal. It has been at least 15 years since it has been increased. So that's been the going rate in Moore County schools for preschool tuition for at least 15 years. So I will turn it over to Neil and he can share some additional information.
Yeah, I would just add, I paid that rate for my daughters who are now 16 and 20. So, so it's been a while. We are looking at a $10 per week increase, which would take us in the ballpark of $40 per month increase. I think it's something that's long overdue, and one of the reasons that we're really looking at that is we are trying to expand our capacity for preschool. We currently have 11 classrooms. Robbins Elementary, Aberdeen, they both have 2 classrooms. Vass Lakeview with 2 classrooms. Southern Pines Elementary with 2 classrooms, and then 1 classroom in West End Elementary, 1 in Westmore Elementary, which is our newest addition to the stable there, and then 1 at Carthage Elementary. Adding that $10 per week addition would cover basically what we look at when we start up a new preschool. There, right from the jumper, is about a $25,000 startup cost, and that's for materials and all the infrastructure and all the things that are required to open up that site. And we're currently working to try to do that at Cameron Elementary, where we've seen a need in that area, and we don't really have the nearest preschool is over at Vass Lakeview. So we're working to with site inspections and working through that. Hopefully soon be able to open that classroom. But this just gives us some more flexibility, and it's using these tuition funds we pay for. We look at paying for of course, the preschool teacher in there, the assistants that are required in there, and then that startup cost just for the infrastructure. So.
All right. I just am a huge proponent of preschool, and I'm so excited that we have them across our school district. And yes, I think it's a great time to move forward with this and to expand. Thank you for your hard work and thoughtfulness.
Absolutely. Yeah, but we have 73 seats that are tuition seats. It makes up a little more than a third of our seats. We have the tuition seats, we have our EC, what we call developmental day seats, and then the NC pre-K seats. So it is a sizable chunk of the seats that we have. But I'm a big believer as well, Dr. Calcutt, with what the level of service we're able to provide.
Thank you. Parents need it, and we're desperate for more.
Absolutely. And it is the tuition. One more thing that I would just add is we do prioritize Moore County schools, employees, children. We advocate for them to be on the list even before. Sometimes they'll, like we put on Baby Waters years ago before our child was even born. But it is something that is I feel like it's a good benefit to our employees and to our local parents. So.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Question here. At this rate of increase, how long is it going to take you to accumulate the opening costs?
Yeah, I think we're there as far as Cameron. I think we're there, but we're looking strategically down the road.
Okay.
We know with new buildings, with the possible Carthage Elementary, when we want to try to build capacity there as well. Already thinking in terms of, an additional classroom there. There are lots of requirements with those rooms. We found, you need egress doors to the outside from those classrooms. There are a lot of really hot water that has to be, it has to be exactly the certain temperature, the right temperature, right down to how the classroom square footage per student. There are a lot of parameters involved with that, but we're already there with Cameron and ready to go when that site selection is approved. But we're looking strategically, of course, ahead to the next steps. Sure.
Did you have something to say?
I was just concerned that it might not be enough, but sounds like you have some real planning going on and factored it in.
It's a start, and we felt like $40 a month was, it's long overdue, but I think it's something that it can be the beginning of hopefully an adjustment as we kind of inch that up. Yeah.
I had two. One was a thought for that. Is it enough? Why should I pay $175 a week for Lydia, and that's reasonable for her, which she's only 2, and this is for 3 years and up.
It is,
okay,
yes.
So it's a little different, but still very reasonable. But if it's supporting our employees, it's again kind of like a return on investment thing. I would rather not increase it more than what we need to. Do you know the percentage of who we serve that are employees compared to outside? If you don't,
I don't
okay.
right off the top of my head, but I can find that out. Absolutely.
Okay.
We can find
Yeah.
out what the percentage is. It's significant.
I'm sure
we
it
have,
is.
I
Yeah.
don't know the exact percentage or exact number, but we can find that out for sure.
Well, just
it is a line
saying
that
it's significant is probably sufficient.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're at item M.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Ms. Sinan will present this next item. This is the yearly approval of our student fees. We bring this to you each year if there's any changes to our student fee schedule. There are a couple changes there that Ms. Sinan will highlight. I also note that we in the past, last year you may recall, we actually took some of the fees off, deleted some fees we no longer felt we needed. And as always, there's the ability for students who may come from a tough economic situation to have fees waived, every fee but parking fee. Parking fee is the only fee that doesn't get waived because that's not a requirement, that's a privilege. So just as a reminder to the board. So Ms. Sinan, I'll turn it over to you to present.
Okay, so these are the fees. This is the fee schedule for the 25-26 school year. This year, we have included fees for the More Innovative High School because that was not on there previously. They don't have any additional fees other than what we have for other schools. Really, this year, or for the upcoming year, it would be a student fee of $35, which aligns with the high schools. That's $25 for the technology fee and then the $10 student fee. There is a science fee on there that aligns also with the high schools, with the other high schools, but the other fees that are listed there for the high schools are not applicable for More Innovative High School. They don't have a graduation fee at this point. They don't have a parking permit fee. And then the other courses that they have, the art, band, chorus, orchestra, drama, those would be things that once they get to that point, they would take those through Sandhills Community College. The other change that you'll see this year is the student transfer discretionary admission request fee. This year it was $15, but SCRIB is the program that we use for the discretionary admissions and the transfers. So that is going up from $15 to $20, and that's just paid when you are applying for discretionary admission or transfer. And that's not for our employees. Our employees don't pay that fee, but anyone else that's not an employee would pay that fee. So that's gone up $5. As Dr. Locklear said, we have fees that can be waived, and all of those fees can be waived based on what the school's processes and procedures. If a student is making evento, things like that, they can waive the fees. The only one that's not waived is the parking permit fee.
Any comments or questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right, just take a second. We've had a busy morning. We're at item N, and that's approval for our school board meeting agenda for May 12th. And just looking at our pending action and discussion items, I will call them out, and we'll have them on a consent agenda unless you have a preference for action. So we've already taken care of item A, our out-of-state field trips. That was approved. So we go to item B, endorsement of the gifted plan. I'll be short. I won't read the whole thing out unless I have to. So item B, consent.
Consent.
Okay. Item C, endorsement of puberty and reproductive health curriculum. Consent.
Consent.
Okay. Item D, approval to purchase Eureka Math, a K-8 math curriculum.
Action.
Action. Item E, renew iReady contract for 2025-2026 school year. Consent.
Action.
Okay, action for E. All right, F, endorsement of career and tech education application for funding assurances. Consent.
Consent.
Okay, consent. Item G, endorsement of the updated end of course and end of grade test readministration plan for this year. Consent. Okay. Item H, Northmore High School old gym and auditorium roof repair replacement. Consent.
Action.
Action. All right, item I, McDeed's Greek playground equipment. Consent.
Action.
All right, action on that one. J, request for lottery funds to support New Carthage Elementary land purchase and design and planning. Consent.
Yeah.
Okay, action. Item K, approval of the 26-27 Moore County Schools calendar. Consent.
Consent.
Okay. Item L, approval of preschool tuition increase for 2025-2026. Consent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. L is consent. M, endorsement of the 2025-2026 student fee schedule. Consent.
Consent.
All right, consent. All right, thank you very much. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to go back. I think we should put the puberty one on there for the public.
Okay. So that
And,
was item C.
You're
Yes, item C, and I also think that we should discuss the school's calendar in public.
I was
too.
waiting for you to
Did you-
say
were
action.
you?
I was.
I think we should.
Okay, so that is item
K.
K. All right. All right, so I think Cindy, you caught all that? All right, thank you very much. We are at item 4, and should we go on and have lunch or keep going? Keep going.
I believe we could get through these items.
Okay.
Madam Chair, 12:30 was what I was
All right.
shooting for lunch for
That'll be
staff.
perfect.
But I think these
Okay.
items can be gone through fairly quickly.
You did say that, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yes, item A.
Thank you, Ms. Purvis. I believe Board Member Bruno asked if we could bring some information about the water testing requirement that has been required based on the state requirement this year. I believe that report's due later this month, or may have already been submitted by us because we were ahead of schedule. But
Well, all samples are due to the state by May 31st. We have submitted all of our samples. There are 1 or 2 schools that we don't have the results back yet. I'll preface showing this to you by letting you know that we weren't just testing 1 or 2 taps. Every single tap that students drank out of, we had to test. So I think it was maybe 54 or something like that at Pinecrest, maybe more than that, but every single tap that students could drink out of. So the way that worked is our maintenance guys had to name every tap, and then we sent that list in via this website. They then sent us testing bottles labeled for that specific tap. We are required to test that on a Monday morning. before that tap is ever used. So it has to be first draw after it's sitting over the weekend. So the plan was, when we have one that we have to mitigate, we go back in, we take care of that, then we submit a second sample that they test to ensure that what we did to mitigate the problem took care of it. I'll be sharing all that we have because I'm hoping we'll have all the schools back by our next construction committee meeting, which is May 21st. So I was going to share that with the construction committee and then share it out with the entire board, probably via the update to give you all of that information. But Ms. Bruno, I'll show you today, this is on a public website. So I'll provide you guys the link. When you click on that link, it'll take you to North Carolina. Let me scroll down here. You'll click on Moore County. Let's see if I can make it work from here. Just want to jump around. Once we click on Moore, I'll just give you an example. I know we have Robbins Elementary. Charlie, would you please type in Robbins Elementary? We have those results back, and we have finished that mitigation. So, like I said, this is public. You can go in here from home, take a look around at everything that's been completed so far. So you'll see there's a summary. In addition to the lead in the water, we're going to be doing lead in paint as well as asbestos. The water portion is the first part, but we are currently turning in other things for the asbestos in the paint. But you'll click in this lead in water, and I'll give you guys some instructions when this is sent out. So we've got a look at everything that was done here. Water fountains, it'll give you the plumbed in appliance. This was the main building. And then if we go back, actually this is a child care facility, the main child care facility. And let's go back, start again. I want you to see the whole school. I apologize, Charlie. Would you please do it again, and I'll choose the right one and hope that I'm seeing it well enough. You can tell me yes or no, because I'm looking from afar. Yeah, Charlie, can you do, I don't want the child care, I just want Robbins Elementary School.
Yeah.
It doesn't say. Do the second one, because I think I did the first one.
Yeah, you did the first one the first time.
There we go. All right, so let's go to our lead in the water. Yes, this is it. So we had 24 taps that are sampled. When you scroll down, you'll see here's the chart. If there are more than 10 parts per billion, then we have to mitigate. So we did have one faucet. It was one that had not been used. It was in a classroom, almost like a art room sink. And it didn't get used very often. But if it is a sink, like a kitchen sink, we still assume that someone could possibly run by and put a cup of water under it, right? So we tested it. So what happens is when we test that and it comes back that it's too much, then we go back and we mitigate that. So you can see that was in a self-contained room. It was a faucet. We went in, we put a new faucet on there, and then you can view to see that that was taken care of. So we had to resubmit. There you go. Replaced a fixture, certified lead-free product, it met the standard, and then the sample was cleared. So we are in the process right now of replacing some faucets where those need to be replaced. What we're seeing is that it's an old faucet that's been sitting there for a while that hasn't been used. It's one that's not used frequently in most cases. So this is the process that we went through with every single school. We'll be able to show this. The public can see this because it is a public website, but I will try to get just an overview for you guys. Once we have all of them in, I can put together just the PDF of the graph for you guys so you're just able to see the school as a whole. And we did have lots of schools that had to have no mitigation, so that was great. Does that help?
Yeah, I really want to thank you for that. I think that this is really an eye-opener, and it explains. And I really wasn't asking for me. I was asking for the people who call me on the phone,
Well, you can
questioning
direct them to
about.
this website.
Exactly.
Yes, because
So
it
the,
is
the
public.
website is Clean Classroom.
I will make sure you get a link to the website.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I really, really thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very appreciative.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to do it. Any other questions?
Thank you.
I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
What else did we test for besides lead?
That is all that's required to be tested because our municipalities, we are off of well water. We're all municipal water. So each municipality has to test their own water before they send it out. So all other things are being tested at the municipality. The reason the state wanted us to test lead is just for that reason that if we have old schools and old fixtures, they could contain lead and they could be leaching into the water. We know there's not lead in the water that's coming from municipalities, but they wanted us to test it coming out of our faucets, which is what we did.
Thank you. You answered my second
welcome.
question, which was the source.
Yes.
Actually, I was just thinking about our maintenance men earlier today and how that they don't get enough attention or thanks for what they do. And this is a prime example of the small details, time-consuming things that they do to help make sure that we
They
have
sure
safe
do.
schools.
Work very hard.
So yes, no, I don't think they get recognized enough. So
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Thank
glad
you.
that this got brought because I was really thinking about them earlier.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Purvis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Purvis.
All right.
And now we have Ms. Simon and Ms. Metcalf, our quarterly discipline report. I know Ms. Metcalf's going to miss giving these reports. She's got 2 more left, so counting this one. But
Counting this one. No,
yeah.
I will miss giving these.
but appreciate the great job she does with that. I'll turn it over to Ms. Simon.
You're welcome to come back and present it anytime you would like.
All right, so this is our quarter 3 discipline data. You'll remember that this is a comparison. We compare it by quarter to the year before. So this would be 23-24 versus 24-25. And so you'll see this is our office discipline referrals, in-school suspensions, out-of-school and bus suspensions. Just a reminder that we are only talking about exclusionary consequences. So these are all of these referrals may have had a consequence, but we're only reporting those that ended up with a student being excluded from their peers or from the school or from the bus. Okay. Sometimes the numbers look and you're like, wait. So what we've seen is a significant decrease in office referrals from this year compared to last year. We also have a corresponding decrease in-school, out-of-school, and bus suspension, with the biggest being from ISS with a going down about 5%. And then that also has played into our Moore County Schools police consequences. And you'll note there that our biggest decrease was in teen court. We had slight increase in referral to Department of Juvenile Justice. Just a reminder on these are our mitigating programs. So we start with second chance. A student may then go to teen court, may then eventually be referred to DJJ. Remember that a student who's referred to DJJ immediately is someone who's probably also broken a law. And in those cases, they don't go to teen court or to second chance. Once you do one, you cannot do it a second time. And one other reminder, once they go to DJJ, that is out of our hands. We no longer have any say in what the consequences are or if there are consequences. Oops. Sorry. Charlie, will you click on that for me, please? This is the list of our quarter 3 offenses. You'll note that it's pretty consistent from quarter 3 of last year. Inappropriate behavior is up slightly, and skipping is down slightly along with tardiness. We have several middle schools who are using a new program where kids are asking for a pass, and that seems to have had some impact on skipping at the middle school. All right, Charlie, we'll go to aggressive behavior. So just a reminder, aggressive behavior involves with physical contact, without physical contact, and against staff. There's an overall decrease in aggressive behavior incidents in the district from last year, especially in middle school and in high school. I will tell you that most of the largest differences, those big ones are at New Century, Aberdeen Elementary, McDeeds Creek, Southern Pines Elementary, West Pine Elementary, really deal with special populations and the ongoing work of the teams dealing with those students. So this is the assault. This is the multiple. It can be assault against a staff member. It can be assault with a weapon or assault without a weapon. You'll note that there's a slight increase in elementary, middle, and high, but overall it's a decrease for the district. There's an increase in exclusionary consequences tied to these. May indicate that this is a case where it was a second offense, and so what was dealt with by the team as an opportunity to teach is now an exclusionary consequence when those supportive measures are ineffective. And our last one, Charlie, will be fighting. And we have seen a significant decrease in fighting incidents from the third quarter last year to the third quarter this year, down by about 20 incidences, with corresponding decrease in exclusionary consequences. All right. That's the third quarter report. Do you have questions?
Can you explain something? I'm looking at the fighting page.
Mm-hmm.
And this just jumped out at me, not to pick on Pinecrest, but it shows 3 fighting incidents and then 6 OSS.
So
how does something like that happen?
So in a referral, when you have a fighting referral, you can have multiple students on one offense. So if that fight was 2 people and they put both of the students on, we would expect them to put them on the same referral. One incident would involve 2 out-of-school suspensions.
That should have been obvious, shouldn't it?
Nah. It was a good question.
Thank you very much. Good data. Thank you for all the time and effort.
Thank you,
You're
Tracy.
very welcome.
I believe if you'll scroll up, please, Charlie. I believe we had one committee meeting, our foundation committee meeting, Madam Chair, and that led by Mr. Benway.
We did. We met, I believe it was last Thursday, and it was well attended. Had a good informative crowd there. And we were at that point where we didn't know what we didn't know, I guess, in many instances. We got a good primer on foundations from the lady from, yes, Ms. Elkins.
Jermaine Elkins.
Elkins. And then along with the gentleman who runs the current foundation.
Andrew Lyons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we're in the mode of putting together a couple of straw man ideas to float with the group. And we're pending a date to do this.
Yeah.
So that's about it. We're getting getting off to a good start.
Thank you, Mr. Benway. We're just real excited about our foundation committee as a way to re-energize our public education foundation, and I appreciate your leadership. And Mr. Hensley was there, and we had a great conversation, and we look forward to the future in supporting our schools. All right, we're at item 5. There weren't any other committee reports, were there? I'm sorry.
Not really a report,
Oh,
except for the appeals committee did meet on April 24th and 25th, and that report will be covered in closed session this coming Monday. And we do have the policy committee meeting coming up on May 13th.
Thank you very much, and, you know, we really appreciate the committee work. Thank you so much for the extra time and efforts and your talents in helping us to make sure we're all on the same page with Moore County Schools and all the good work. So now we're at item 5, board comments. Anyone like to begin? Any comments for today? Okay.
Yeah, the first thing I want to say is this meeting was awesome. It started off with a great big bang with our ROTC, with our Navy Junior ROTC. That was so impressive. I loved having them here. Donna and Diane did such a great job explaining the academic and intellectually gifted program and also the puberty curriculum, which I think is wonderful. And I want to end up, I'm really very thankful to Jenny for explaining the water, how we're doing it. I get a lot of calls, especially about the Carthage School, and that was my main interest in that. And like Shannon said, thank you to our maintenance for everything that they do, because we don't thank them enough.
I'm going to be brief. This has been an inspiring meeting with all of the things that Ms. Bruno listed, and I feel so privileged to be part of Moore County Schools.
Nope, we're, great day.
All right, just wanted to remind everybody about our Board of Commissioners meeting tomorrow. We're proposing our budget, and that's at 10:30 at the Historic Courthouse. If you're able to attend, that would be great. Also, just wanted to let you know that we're having our very first, and I'll send an invitation out, Moore Teacher Scholar signing event at Sand-Hills Community College at Logan Hall at 2:30. That's this coming, whatever the 7th is, Wednesday or Thursday? And Wednesday, I believe. But please attend if you're able. And just, we're in banquet season, so it's such a great time to celebrate the good hard work of our employees and staff and our students. And thank you so much for attending those. And thank you for being here. It was a great meeting. You could tell I was hungry. I was ready for lunch. So sorry about that. But if that is all, we will may have a motion to adjourn our meeting. Okay?
Second.
All right, lots of seconds. Thank you so much. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, staff. Great meeting. Thank you.